The typical meeting house has public comments, domestic violence, meeting held in the child hall. The public comments, domestic violence, meeting held in the child hall. That I should look at.
Morning, my name is Parole Officer Martinez. Today is Wednesday, March 5th, 2025, and this is a hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. Following board members are present this morning and by stating their names on the record, certify they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available for information in preparation of this hearing.
Nancy Turner, good morning.
Good morning, Mike Poole.
And I'm Ellen Zappo-Sasu.
Good morning, Justin Douglas.
Please state your name and inmate number for the record.
Justin Douglas.
Inmate number?
Oh, I'm sorry, 425-721. That's it.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Gustin Douglas, inmate number 425-721. Mr. Douglas is serving a sentence of 10 years execution suspended at 4 years with 5 years probation for interfering, resisting, illegal possession of a large capacity magazine, hearing a pistol without a permit, reckless endangerment first, tampering with the witness, reckless driving, illegal racing on highway, conspiracy to tamper with the witness. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of February 7th, 2025. There is victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. Mr. Douglas has completed 2 voices, hospitality module, and PD. Douglas has outside clearance and is employed as janitor in the lobby. Utilizing collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score on the SRT falls within the low risk for recidivism. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin, Mr. Douglas.
Before you do, Mr. Douglas, we have your 3-page letter and we've read it. So we prefer you not to read it again. Is there something that you want to say to us this morning?
I just want to say I'm not the same person I was when I got sentenced, and I got a different thought process, and I don't have a false perception on what a man is no more. And if I had a chance to get back in the community, I don't have any false perceptions on what a man is anymore. And if I had a chance to get back in the community, I would never make the same decisions again that led me to be in prison.
Great. Okay. Well, you will be back in the community because your end of sentence is November of next year. So even if you aren't granted today, you'll still finish your sentence and go out to 5 years of probation. So it's good to know that you have a commitment to living in a respectful, honorable manner as a man in the community.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to ask questions of you that we've prepared based on the documents that were available to us. And we'll turn the hearing over to the Office of Victim Services, and you are not to speak during that part of the hearing. After we hear from the victims, then we will discuss your case and make our decision. Are you ready to proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we're going to begin with my colleague, Mr. Poole.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Mr. Douglas.
Good morning.
So this was a very big tragedy all the way around. And there was a lot of nonsense around the whole thing as well. Right? So what actually happened that day on Center Street?
On Center Street, I was driving, and my co-defendant was driving, and we both was speeding, and he hit a pole, and the car engulfed in flames. And then he got out of the car, and then he said that I asked him where everybody else was at, and then he said he don't know. And I said, what happened? He said I was going too fast, and then he laid on the ground, him and the passenger. So I didn't know if somebody was in the car or not, but I didn't leave the scene. I was there the whole time.
And I recognize that, and police report reflects that as well. Which way were you headed? Towards the center or towards East Catholic?
I was going up Center Street, going like towards, like if you driving from East Hartford towards Manchester, that's the way I was. Yeah.
So you took that curve.
Yep, I took the curve.
Yep.
And then after the car hit the pole, I went around the car and then I turned around and then I got out the car and then I went over to that car.
So that curve, how fast were you going?
I honestly, I don't remember. Maybe like 50 miles an hour. Maybe I was going, I don't remember, honestly. I don't want to tell any lies. I don't remember. That was in 2018.
Well, if you don't want to tell any lie, how come you just said 50 miles an hour?
No, I didn't say 15. I said 50. 50.
No, that's what I said, 50.
Oh,
That's what I said was 50.
I said maybe 50 miles an hour.
But that's
That's what I
not
said.
what was said there. Right? That was
Be
not
honest.
what was said by the people who you told to cover up what was going on in that whole piece, right? From my recollection and from some accident reconstruction and stuff, and from some comments that you made to some people, you kind of know how fast you were going. And it wasn't 50. How about trying to double that? On that curve. That's crazy. That's pure insanity on that curve.
Yeah, you're right.
Somebody hit that pole, and the person who hit the pole, speculation is that they were going 80.
Yeah, you're right. I was going to correct myself and say maybe 80, but I don't think it was 100. But you're right, and I apologize, and I take full accountability for my mistake and my choice that I made that night. And I should have made a better choice and been a leader instead. Well, I was a leader because evidently they was only going as fast like that because I was like, that's how I drive, and everybody know that's how I drive, and I need to be more an example for the community instead of making poor choices, and I take full accountability for that. And I do apologize to the family, and I didn't get a chance to say it in court. That's why I said it in the letter. I'm sorry for everything that happened that night. And I didn't mean any harm. I just was trying to have a good time with my friends. It's not like those were my enemies. I would never have been with them if nothing was intentional. That's why I do apologize to the families and to the community for my choices. I'm really sorry.
You've taken some programs while you've been in, and one of those programs is Voices. You've taken some programs while you've been in. One of those programs is Voices. Can you relate what you learned in Voices to what happened in this accident?
Yes. Me doing that, making a selfish decision like that, influencing people to drive their car fast is, and them crashing and me speeding and we both were speeding and their families having to have a tremendous loss like that, and me having a loss as well, because those friends I was close to and I held close to my heart, because I don't hang out with a lot of people. Those probably the only friends I have. So that it's just showing me that I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous, but I know victims is not only the person that happened to. It's victims is the community, all the friends, their moms, me, my kids, and like it branches out further than I knew. And when I made that choice, I didn't think about that even being a possibility. In my mind, it was just, we were just chilling on the weekend, having a good time, to be honest. In my mind, that's all. I never been through nothing like that before. That was the first time I experienced anything like that. And so I didn't, it wasn't, and nothing was intentional again. That's why I said I'm sorry, and I understand why everybody would be mad, and I get it, and I take full accountability. But I didn't mean any harm. I did not mean for that to happen. I wish I could take it back.
Let's just back up here for a second.
All right.
You said you understand why everybody be mad, right? Nobody's mad. Everybody is incredibly hurt, right?
Right.
Because the 3 people that were in the back of that other car are no longer here.
No, I understand.
Incredibly hurt. Nobody's mad. Everybody's incredibly hurt.
No, I
right?
understand that, but another
When
thing
you
that I
take
learned.
when you take a, it'll always be a child. To your mom, you're always a child. When you take a mom's kids away, that's a rough thing.
No,
You can't give that back, right?
Yes, sir. I understand. I have 2 kids of my own, and when I said mad, it's just because I learned in jail with therapy that anger is a secondary emotion, and it comes from either being sad or hurt. And nobody's just mad. You have to. It's other feelings first that come before that. So I understand. That's what I'm saying. That's the only reason why I said mad. So I didn't mean to offend anybody.
I appreciate that depth of understanding, because that's what's going on.
Yeah, I understand. I was hurt too. I was mad at myself. I was hurt too. I didn't have any issues with anybody in that car at all. Those were my friends. I would not have been with them if they weren't my friends. So
I get that. But it's like the consequences for the actions that you took that day, right? And I mean, from my read on the whole thing, first story was they never do that on Center Street. That you do it on 384 or the highway, right?
Yeah, when I said that, but I didn't
right.
say when I said that, I'm talking about me. And that's the way I was like that. I never did that with them before. That's the way I was driving around, to be honest with you. And that's what I was like. I was like known for driving like that, like driving. That's what I was saying. Like not like all the time, but yeah, I was known for driving like that.
When it happens, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, and to be honest, the reason why I said that, for me to be completely honest, is that night that we spoke and we agreed to race on the highway, and then we didn't race on the highway. He got off the highway, and I got off the highway in East Hartford, and then he ended up calling somebody in my car and asked where they was at. And then they told him where we was at, and we was at McDonald's on Burnside, right on Burnside Avenue, right before Manchester. And then from Burnside Avenue is when it happened. But I didn't agree to the race there, but it still happened there. But I told him I would. But it was just like horse playing, like that, but it just went too far. I never been through anything like that. Again, I'm sorry. It's really no excuse for nothing. I really don't know. You know what I mean? I just gotta be responsible and take accountability. And I'm sorry, but when I said the highway thing, it's because we agreed to race on the highway, and then I ended up getting off the highway. He didn't get on the highway, and then I met him in East Hartford, and then it just went from there, like without even the agreement from the highway, kind of went to East Hartford, like without like speaking about it again. So that's really how it transpired.
I hope you're in a place where you know that driving like that is crazy.
I understand that.
Period.
Yeah, I know. After that, I never drove like that again. After that day, I was still home, but I never drove. I'm just being honest. I was still home. I didn't drive like that again. I was terrified from that day. I never seen nothing like that, and I lost a lot of people growing up, but I never lost a female, and it was a female loss in that situation, and it really touched me. Everything touched me, but it was like I'm not used to having this go to a woman's funeral. You know what I'm saying? That's younger than me. So it was just, I just didn't. I'm just sorry. I'm sorry, I can't.
All right. So let's just move on. So, besides voices, you took tier 2.
Yes, sir.
And what did you learn in there that's relative to you?
I just learned how like an addict is somebody that's addicted to something that doesn't have to be drugs. Like how I was addicted to like driving fast and like that lifestyle was addicted. And I also took it because I wanted to get involved with C-Car and take my C-Car so it could be part of my reentry plan the day that I was given a shot back into the community, but I wasn't able to go to C-Car because my drug store wasn't high. But I learned that addicts is not only with drugs, it's sex addicts, gambling habits, and addictive lifestyles.
You took the hospitality program,
Yes, sir.
and so did that broaden your background at all? I know that you worked at Taylor for a while, and it's kind of an offshoot in the hospitality industry because it's all set up for party stuff, weddings and things like that. But how did hospitality play in there? And I know that you are looking at going back to Taylor, but do you have any other aspirations or any other things that you want to do?
To be honest, while I was going to Taylor Reynolds, I was planning to get my CDLs while I was working and work driving trucks. And but because the reason why I didn't do it in the past is because I didn't have my high school diploma, and I tried to. I went to Nets. I was enrolled in Nets probably for like a month, and I kept trying to like find the easy way out and take shortcuts, but they end up kicking me out the program because I didn't have proof that I graduated. So now I got proof that I graduated. So I as soon as because I didn't graduate, I was lying. So
And
now
congratulations on getting the GED.
I appreciate that.
So that's a good thing. You have outside clearance, which means that you're trusted by DOC. What are you doing outside? Is that the janitor job that's up front, or is there more to that?
It's the front lobby in the visiting room, sir. I just that's why I was here already when you they just told me that I'm going first, but cause I clean the visiting room and I clean the front lobby where everybody comes in at, like with the metal detectors and everything.
Yeah.
It's like right there.
That's how you have outside clearance.
Yeah, cause you gotta be able to have cause I could walk out the door and because the doors. Yeah, I wouldn't, but I'm saying it's right there. It's like,
Talk to me about where you want to sponsor to.
I want to sponsor to Vernon.
And who is that?
It's a friend of the family.
That's just a straight out friend to the family.
She's somebody that been here for me my whole time being incarcerated, and somebody I've been building with through me being in jail. She come visits me often and stuff like that.
Okay, so is that just a friend or is that someone else?
And you could say she's my girlfriend. She's my girlfriend. You could say she's my girlfriend.
Okay, and then what else when it comes to children, things like that? What are you trying to do when you get out?
With my children?
Yeah.
I'm trying to catch up on lost times. I haven't seen my daughter since she was 11. She's 13 now. And I haven't seen my son since he was 13, and he's 15. He turns 15 in 2 days.
I'm gonna see, what other questions other board members might have. But thanks for speaking with me this morning.
So, Mr. Douglas, why'd you have the gun?
I had the gun because I thought I was being a man. I thought that men handle their problems and men are never scared. That's why I had the gun. The day that the car accident happened, I was terrified. I was scared. And after the car accident happened and the truth came to light, a lot of people were mad at me. So I made a lot of enemies. So I don't know if you know, but I was shot at in front of my home. So from that, after that happened is when, because the people that shot at me, they had ended up going to jail for a year, and then they came home. And then after that, I didn't want to get shot at again, so I carried a gun. So so I'm gonna be honest, man. So I carried a gun after I got shot at again, because I didn't want to be feeling terrified.
Mr. Douglas, where did you get the gun?
I got the gun from a family member, a close family member, somebody that I grew up with that I consider family. Because I was to be honest, I did security in the past, and I was in the process of getting my gun permit. And all I had to do was do the fingerprints at the police department. But when I caught the case with the car accident, that held me up, and I wasn't able to do it. So I took everything.
So, Mr. Douglas, where did you learn to handle and discharge and clean and store this firearm?
I took the classes to get the gun permit. I went to the range.
With the gun that you bought off a family member?
No, it was somebody close to me that I considered family. And I didn't buy it. I was given it. He gave it to me. So.
And you took that gun to the range and practiced with it?
No, I didn't. It was another gun that the instructor had when I went to take the class. It was a 20.
And you know that every gun handles differently and has different recoil and different ways of loading and unloading the firearm. So you were in possession of a gun you thought you could protect yourself with, and you had no experience using this firearm.
Not that firearm, but I had experience.
So that puts the public in great danger. So what we're trying to do here today, Mr. Douglas, is determine whether it's appropriate for you to finish the 4 years you have to serve out in the community on discretionary parole before you begin your 5 years of probation. And we have to make that decision in light of the interests of public safety.
I understand.
And, the deck is stacked against you in terms of your crimes. Very serious offenses that you were engaged in. And I haven't even touched on your tampering with a witness situation with your brother, which is equally concerning. So I want to acknowledge that you haven't gotten any DRs, so you're coping well there in the facility, and that's why you've been able to take the programs, why you've been put in the reintegration unit. So all of that's really positive. You said in your interview, or perhaps it was in your letter, that you have forgiven yourself for the loss of 3 lives, friends of yours. What was that process? What did you go through to get to a place of self-forgiveness for such a serious situation?
I had to go through therapy. I had to talk to a therapist regularly. I was having dreams about the victims and stuff like that. And I just was mad at myself for letting them down and letting my family down. So I had to talk to a therapist all the time. So But there was a process by which you reconciled yourself to the responsibility for the loss of life. I'm just wondering how that became, that you forgave or absolved yourself of the crime. You said, I'm sorry, what was that?
how did you actually forgive yourself in this process?
To be honest, I really didn't forgive myself. I just don't beat myself up. Like, I just know that I'm a human and I make mistakes, and I made a mistake, or I made the wrong choice. I wouldn't even call it a mistake. I made the wrong choice. So, and I just gotta live with it, and there's nothing I could do to go around it. So that's really, I didn't even forgive myself.
Have you found some peace?
A little bit. I tried to.
So when you were interviewed by the parole officer, you said you couldn't think of any high risks that you would face upon returning to the community. And yet, you know, we're hearing about the risks that you were facing after being involved in the death of many of your friends. So I'm going to ask you if you've given that any additional thought and can appreciate any risks that you might be faced with.
I didn't really understand the question when she asked me. So you said that, because when she said high risk, I thought she meant like it's something that I would have to worry about with myself. Like you saying high risk, like somebody else.
Bring you back to prison.
I'm going to stay out of trouble. I'm just going to go to work and just go home. That's my plan. I don't plan on being in the streets or being around anybody that's doing anything that's.
Are you hearing about people who are still angry with you?
I don't communicate with nobody like that. So I don't know anything about anybody that's still angry with me or nothing like that. I don't do that. I try to move forward and just make everything count and make everything positive. So I'm sure about anybody still being mad at anything like that. I try to like stay away from negative energy.
Do you know that you have the state's deadly weapon offender registry obligation as part of your sentence?
Yes, I understand that.
Okay. Do you understand as a convicted felon, you are prohibited for the rest of your life from possessing firearms and ammunition?
Yes, I understand it.
So, so you don't want to go home to Alice. She's the mother of your children?
Yes, she is.
Okay. And at the time of the crash in 2017, you were with Danae. I'm probably getting her name wrong.
Dejanay.
Dejanay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that relationship has ended?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And now you want to go live with your girlfriend. We know she's your girlfriend because when the parole officer reached out to confirm her as a sponsor, she told us that.
Okay. Yeah, she is. I don't know. I just thought that
You're going to hide the truth from other people to keep down the drama?
yeah, I didn't really want anything going back to her house. I didn't even want to say that I was going there on the thing, and I don't know who watching, to be honest. I don't want any of my problems to be somebody else's problems.
Well, I would have been encouraged in your reentry plan if I had read that you wanted to go to a halfway house and really get your life in order and your employment situated and that kind of, adulting that we all have to do as we grow up and have responsibilities. Certainly as a father of two children, you have those. I might want to give that some additional thought, especially, have you, with Jennifer, have you dated before?
Yeah, I didn't meet her in jail. Yeah, I dated her.
Okay.
I've been dating her.
So you know each other a little better than
I know her. Yeah, I know her well. I've been dating her for 4, maybe 5 years now.
You're very fortunate that she's stood by you.
Yeah.
In your letter, you referred to having a new value system. Do you remember writing about that?
Yes, ma'am.
So tell me what your values are.
My values is to just be a real man and be there for my family and people who love me and people that I love, and to make better decisions. And to just to help my people and like, I don't have no value to be in the streets or to any, I don't have no value for violence or anything. I just don't want to take no part in it at all no more. I don't want nothing to do. I just want to live and be happy. That's where I'm at with it. I don't want to be into nothing else. I don't have time no more.
I would suggest that, one of your values could be living your life with honor and integrity, honesty, treat people with fairness and respect. So you mentioned in your letter that you want to give back to your community. What ways have you identified giving back? I read about the barber shop, and it's one thing to give book bags to kids at the beginning of the school year. What else does your giving back look like?
Just letting them know everything that comes with living the lifestyle that I was living, and how
are you going to give back to your community for the harm that you've caused?
I was going to volunteer at the soup kitchens and do book bag giveaways and talk to kids and coach them and let them know everything that goes with the way that they let them know that the way they living is not the way to live. And because, like I said, I grew up without a father. My father died when I was 11 months. So there's a lot that I had to learn on my own that my mother couldn't show me as a man. So I just wanted to make sure that I'm there for people that is going through the same thing I went through. And I want to make sure I'm there for my son, even, and my daughter as well. Because I even thought about how my absence is like. So
you did say part of your values is being there for your family, which would include your children. Yes, you've been tutoring there in the facility?
Yeah, I go to the school wing. English is the second language. And then when I graduated, at first I was a clerk in the school, and then they gave me a chairman job. But I still go down to the school every day after work, and I still help out. I help people work towards getting a GED. And I Mr. Xavier's class, and I go to Miss Bennett class, and I help people over there too.
That's a great way to get back to your community as well. Volunteering in adult ed or some of the ESL programs in the state. You could continue that work because it's more, something in an ongoing way of giving back as opposed to book bags in September as kids are going back to school. So
right.
Just encourage you to think more expansively about how you can make amends to your community for all the harm that you caused when you were out there before. Do you have a valid driver's license?
Yes, ma'am. I paid my restoration fee and all the fees last year, and my license is valid.
Don't drive uninsured.
No, not at all. I'm
saying, you're somebody who likes to exceed the speed limit and has driven recklessly in the past with severe consequences. And so your insurance rates are going to be very high, and you need to find a way to cover that if you're going to be behind the wheel of a vehicle.
Yeah, you're right. Right now, I won't even be able to, whenever I'm released, I won't be able to drive my vehicle anyway because I owe car taxes from being a child, and my registration had expired. So I won't be able to re-register my car until I figure out how to pay the car taxes. And it's like over $1,000.
So you still have, what was it, a Mercedes?
No, I don't have that anymore.
And where is Taylor Rentals located?
It's on Broad Street in Manchester.
Thank you for talking with me, Mr. Douglas. Ms. Sapo-Satsu?
Good morning, Mr. Douglas.
Yeah.
The one thing that I just wanted to cover was the fact that we received a lot of the reports from your period of incarceration. And it did note that as part of the getting ready for today, you had to have a mental health evaluation. And the report does indicate that you weren't quite sure why you had to do that and that you appeared irritable during the interview. Considering the traumatic incidents that you've gone through and some of the mentions that we've seen about your nightmares and the depression associated with the loss of your friends, I was just curious as to why the mental health piece was so difficult for you. It would seem to me that you would embrace it and have it as part of your recovery moving forward, and maybe even continuing it out in the community in order to stay in a good frame of mind.
The reason why I was irritated with that is because, and I'm in here is like, you can't really like have no, you're not supposed to like show any weaknesses. And when they called me on the block is when they called and said for mental health, and then I didn't want. So I like when I came here, I tried to like hide that from like everybody. I didn't want anybody to know, because it's not like I was like you could say I was embarrassed, I guess you could say, but it's not like I was ashamed of it. I just wanted to know if I did what I had to do in the other jail, then why when I come here and I haven't been seeing them, why would you call me down? Because I wasn't the parole, my IPO didn't tell me that I was going to do that. I didn't even know, so it just surprised me. So I just was a little irritated because I didn't want nobody to know that that's what I was doing. So I was kind of embarrassed, to be honest, because I didn't want nobody saying this is jail. So I didn't really want nobody saying anything about me and stuff like that. So because I was just embarrassed, to be honest. That's the only reason why. Other than I just wanted to know why they did that out of nowhere. And because I did everything I had to do when I was in Gardner. That's when it comes to that part. And then when I came here, I was trying to like basically hide it, to be honest, from other inmates, not from myself. That's the reason why.
Well, I guess my only point is that, I think there's probably a lot of people where you are that have had some level of trauma, and that mental health is not something to be embarrassed about, because honestly, as you come out, you're going to need all the tools that you can in order to co-parent with Alice. You're going to need to obviously find money right away in order to restore your car and have transportation, get a job. There's going to be a lot of stressors. And I would just encourage you to understand that all of that can be handled by speaking with your parole officer on probation and understanding what resources are available to you, because you don't want to go back into the cycle of this again because of stress.
I understand.
We did receive several letters, including letters from your daughter and your son, saying that they're anxious to have you come home. And again, those are a lot of expectations. And so what we look for in suitability is ensuring that someone can manage those expectations, the job, the money, the relationships, the kids. And I did look at your reentry plan, and it seems like it's reasonable and it's realistic. And I would encourage you to make sure that that's a document that you stick to, and it's not just something that you're prepared for us to look at, because I think reentry is going to be really important, especially since you have so many things going on. So
The
thank you.
CDL. I just want to say the CDLs is something I was trying to do before I came to jail, and that's something I really want to do because I like to travel, and I don't like being stuck in a warehouse. That's the reason why I work at Taylor Reynolds, because I like to be on the road and we go different. We always outside. So I was really trying to do that, but the reason why I couldn't is just because I didn't have my diploma. And now that I got my diploma, then now I could go get financial aid and be able to go to the next to complete it and start a new career whenever the opportunity presents itself.
Well, I think, Mr. Douglas, one of the things that I will say to you about risks are you're also at risk of taking things too fast. So I commend you for getting your GED. That's going to open a lot of doors for you. And I hope that you realize that, you know, trying to work around the CDL company the first time when you didn't have it was exhausting. It's a lot of work to lie and not be truthful. Whereas you put the work in and you got your GED. So what's the next step? The next step would be making sure your license is in order, that you're eligible to go back and finish that CDL, get a job. All of these are you know, points along a timeline that if you take things and take the opportunity to do that, you're going to be successful. It's when you allow all these other things to intersect with you, it makes life complicated. And sometimes having someone to talk to, whether it's family or mental health personnel or your parole officer, you just need to know that there's opportunities if you start to feel overwhelmed, and that affects you in the community. So that's all we're trying to say, is to make sure you have everything set up for yourself when you come out.
I understand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Douglas, we often hear from individuals such as yourself who've been part of that reintegration unit, and one of their biggest takeaways is that they've learned to ask for help. And they understand that asking for help isn't a sign of weakness, but it takes a lot of strength to admit you need help and to understand that you don't have to go it alone.
Right.
Is that something that has been touched upon in your time in the unit?
Yes, ma'am.
Something to keep in mind. At this point in the hearing, we're going to turn it over to the Office of Victim Services. Again, Mr. Douglas, you are not to speak. Ms. Hamlet-Williams?
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, panel. I do have the mother of victim number 1 who would like to address you today. She's on via Teams, and via speakerphone, I have the mother and the cousin who will be acting as the family spokesperson for victim number 3. And we will begin with the mother of victim number 1, who is on with us via Teams. You may unmute and address the panel.
Is that me?
Yes.
Hi, good morning. Wow. I prayed about this before I got on. I don't know. I listened to you. And you used the word friends and accountability. And neither of them apply. You forgot the part that you picked my son up. You know, it's one thing, you know, it's a tragic. But all I have is a memory of my son at the door, and I told him that night, I'm gonna give you a curfew. I wish I would have done that night. And to look out the window and you keep lying. You picked my son up. I didn't know that was you. All I know is this fancy car. But you grabbed my son. You picked my son up. I believe you picked the other victim up. You didn't bring him back. I always told my child, everybody that knew that, my son friends knew that I didn't want my son in nobody's car. I don't care. His mother had one walk everywhere. I don't know how you influenced him. I don't know how you did it. I don't know it was him. I don't know what. But I know that you have not admitted to that. You picked him up. And the other part that gets me, I'm a forgiving person. Lord knows I am. I just can't forgive you. You came to my house. You came to my house the next day, every day, up until every day you came there, you was around us while we grieved. You played this friend. You embraced us. You was around, but you was only around to cover up what you did. You was only around to see what we knew, and we didn't know anything. All we thought that was that my son had died in a car accident with a pole. I didn't understand how he got in a car with these people when he got in a car with you, and I didn't understand it. And I don't know how long it went on, these lies and how you did it, the covering up. But all I remember is this one day being at the graveyard, and one of the girls, the witness that you tampered with, I believe, I was just talking to her. And I thank God for her. I thank God for speaking to her. I thank God for her going to do what she did to bring light to the situation. You probably could have saved their lives. The report was a car with a pole, not 2 cars. You stood there as a bystander. You stood there as a bystander. You went around for months. Your family taunted me. Said I harassed y'all because of how y'all looked at me. You didn't say anything. You came around. You, out of all the people, you came around and you were in my house. I can't forgive you for that. You could have told me. You could have said something to me. I was not like that. I embraced everybody. No one ever came to my house. Nobody asked me about my son. I had to watch the news and see that you guys identified his friends. Identified my child. Not me. Not me. No, you know when they came to my house? You know when they came to my house to even tell me that my son was gone? When they came for dental records. That's the only knock I got on my door was for dental records of my son. I'm shaking. And you sit here and you say you take accountability. I got a letter from the guy that was driving the car, the young man, that I did forgive. I don't know if you know that, but I did forgive him. You know why? And he told me how you thanked him for not telling on you. If you cared and those were your friends, you would have told the truth from the beginning. You would have told the truth. You walk around and you didn't even care. You was only around to find out what I know, what we known, and all you found out that we loved. No matter what, we loved. We loved you when you was there. We loved every last one of y'all that came around and pretended to care. And all y'all cared about was yourself. I made mistakes in my life, but I owned up to them. That was one of my best friends. And everybody knew that. And mental health, yes, take heed to it. Because I deal with it every day. I work in the field and I deal with it daily. I deal with it daily to deal with this. You took away one of my best friends. You took away one of my kids' best friends. You broke a family. You broke a family. And you do, you know. You say you miss your daughter. I miss my son. It's been 7 years. You got one to go home to. A year left in jail. And you want to come home? Look how long you fought to not be there. Look how long you fought to not be accountable. Look how you sit right here and still are not holding accountability to what you did. How dare you say you don't need help? You need help. You need help. You have no empathy. You have no empathy. I welcomed you in my house. I don't know. I prayed. I want so bad, Lord knows, to forgive you. But the fact that you sit here and still lie, the fact that you won't even say that you picked my son up, I'm going to end this. I'm going to end this, and nothing is not going to bring them back. But you know what happened. You know what happened. So when all these girls you juggle around, the one in the car with your girlfriend too, that's the problem. They was hiding your secrets. But at the end of the day, we wake up every day without our kids and live through it every day. And I have to live through that. I had 7 kids. Do you know how hard it is not to cry around my children? Do you know how hard it is for me to be strong? I got twin babies, 8 that don't even remember they. But you know what? If you talk to them, they act like they know they brother because I keep the memory up. I show love. I don't sit around crying. But you brought tears in my eyes. I thought I was gonna come here and you was gonna really be accountable. You was really gonna take accountability, but you were never my son friend. You weren't none of their friends, because if you was, you would have brought them home. The ones that was in that car was the ones you picked up. Tell the truth. Thank you. Done.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
Thank you. Thank you for your statement. And now we'll hear from victim number 3's family. One moment.
That will be me, correct?
Yes, you may unmute.
Okay. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I am here on behalf of the Mickens and Holmes family. And I thought this was going to be easy. But we deal with grief every day. Every day. We deal with it. It's not easy. It is not easy. And now we are Mickens' son, who's 8.5 years old, said about his mother. He said, and I quote, "I didn't know how to feel at first because I didn't get a chance to know her." He said, "But now I feel very sad. I don't know my mother." He's 8.5 years old, and he has to live with this every single day. And it's not fair. You get to go home to your kids, and he will never, ever get to see or know his mother. He was robbed. We all were. This is a statement from his Benaria's aunt. She said Jeremiah is without a mother. The only thing he has is memories. And she said it hurts because he never got to know her. And this is from me. May 2027 was an awful day. I learned of Benaria's passing, and it was hard to swallow, a hard pill to swallow. Because a month prior, I had lost my mother. So the grief is there. It doesn't go anywhere. And you feel that you should be allowed to re-enter, and you got off as far as your time. You only got a few years for 3 bodies. 3 of them. I'm not ready to forgive you yet. You know why? Because I don't feel you really are showing remorse. And like Keisha said, you're selfish. The only thing you were thinking about was you. The whole time, it was you. You didn't think about what it was going to do to everyone else. It was just about you. I don't care that you want to go home to your kids. At least you can. But now he's never coming back. And you say in your statement today, as you fumbled and stumbled over words, that these are your friends. How could you treat your friends like this? You left them. You did nothing to try to help them. And you think you're qualified to help other people's children or other people in society? You are not. You have no remorse. Today was the first time, and I was at the sentencing, that I heard you say, "Oh, well, I'm sorry about what happened." What happened was you were negligent, irresponsible, and 3 people were killed, burnt to death because of you. And then you tried to conceal and hide it. And you played in everyone's face like you was their friend, and you were there for one purpose only, to see what they knew. That's what you did. You manipulated folks into thinking that you were something that you're not. You're still the same monster. The same monster. And know that we're not angry with you. We are still experiencing grief. And it's been over 7 years. And I think you got off because you only got a few years for the death, and that you should do every single day that they gave you. And you're supposed to be good in jail. You're supposed to be good out here, but you weren't. And you chalk it up as, I was looking to have a good time. How do you have a good time and it results in 3 people that you call your friends death? That's final. Thank you very much for hearing me on the board committee. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You made. Thank you, Tana.
Thank you, Ms. Hamlet-Williams. We appreciate very much the victim input. So at this
Excuse
point,
me.
oh,
Lisa, I would like to speak.
Oh, you would? Okay.
Yes, I would like to speak. And I
Okay.
just want to say the things that I heard after my daughter's death, I heard they left the scene because Gustin wanted to go put his weed up. I heard Jalen was on parole and he wasn't supposed to be in the car, so they left them kids to burn the way that they did. And he keeps saying, oh, I want to be home for my son and my daughter. I am raising my grandson. Okay, 8 years old, he'll be 9 next month. That's not going to never see his mom again, okay? But I tell him all the goodness in Benaria, okay? And I don't feel that he's being raped. He's lying, he's confused, and I think he needs to do the rest of his time because it's not fair. And God knows it's not fair that he come out here and be for his kids when my grandson will never see his mother again. We have to live with this every day, okay? They was racing. He bumped that car. He spun that car out of control, okay? He did it. He came to my house. He hugged me. He said we wasn't racing, okay? And then turned around, they was racing, okay? Not knowing the money that you owed her, that's another story. But I just feel that he needs to do the rest of his time. And maybe it's not my decision, but that's what I feel in my heart, okay? And I will never forgive him either. And God wants us to forgive everybody because he forgave us. But that's not my first loss. I lost my son at 19, okay? And I was dealing with that. And then to lose my daughter, I said, Lord, what now? But I feel he needs to sit there. He needs to think about life. And if he was so sincere, he wouldn't have been so confused as when y'all was asking him those questions, okay? So I just want to say God bless y'all, okay? And thank y'all so much. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
I love you, Sherry.
I love you too, Keisha.
Ladies, now.
All right, so, Mr. Douglas, please, give us just a few minutes and don't interrupt. Mr. Pohl?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, so where I am today here is when it comes to Mr. Douglas, in terms of any kind of significant criminal history prior to this, there is not anything significant. You know, he talked about taking tier 2. He talked about racing, that adrenaline piece that he connected with there. You know, but in talking with him about that, you know, what showed and what's there is the speed was very different than what was said. So he's looking for, you know, offender change in terms of accountability and such, and that they would get through program. And he, you know, it's like the accountability is say what you're doing. You know, it's like part of this is, you know, taking accountability for what you did.
And where I, you know, relate to that comment of yours is language. You know, I always go back to language. And, you know, when he was interviewed by the parole officer, he said the driving thing was an accident that happened. It was never intentional. And, you know, part of being an adult, and he was 24, is 23, is being able to anticipate consequences of your actions and the choices that you make. And he also said he's sorry for everything that happened that night. And the language still is distancing from actually being responsible for creating the situation that cost 3 people their lives. And then, you know, wants credit for staying at the scene. It's just a little hard for me.
The report at the scene was that he was dazed,
Yeah, which,
or in shock. And,
yeah, understandable.
you know, 3 people in the back of the car that,
You're watching them burn to death. Mhm.
you know, do I believe that he set off that day to do that? No, I don't believe that he set off that day to cause that accident and to cause 3 deaths. But, regardless of our intentions to begin with, it's accountability for what happened, so you did talk about, being able to be inside and not getting any disciplinary reports, and that was certainly important to hear. When it comes to his engagement with voices, I would have, I heard what he said. However, sitting in a course for that long, sitting in a program for that long, with this much of a tragedy that had happened, I really think that could have gone deeper, and in terms of accountability and, in terms of just seeing, change here, because there's an element of this where there was this, let's not talk about what really happened, let's not tell the truth what really happened. And that's, that's a piece of it, but that's something that can change through incarceration and through taking programs like he did. I don't know how far we've come,
I share that concern.
In terms of his release plan, he does have employment that he can go back to. He does have a sponsor. To his credit, he got his GED while he was in, and that will help him. I don't know if he goes out now and at end of sentence, if he's able to actually go in and get, he might be able to go in and get his CDL, but is he even able to execute on that when it comes to a job because of the reckless driving and the illegal racing? There's somebody touching there. And
Right.
That's why I explored a little bit further the hospitality piece that he took, that he completed, and how that dovetails into what he was doing at Taylor Rental.
Mhm.
I just, I'm, Mr. Douglas is eligible for parole. And when somebody is sentenced, they're not sentenced to do every single day of what they're sentenced to. They're sentenced, and parole is part of that, right? So this is not a retribution type of thing where he got this, he's got to do every single day. And a lot of people, when it comes to victims in the courtroom, and such an emotional, with the loss of 3 people here.
Young people.
Yeah, they hear certain things, but he is eligible for parole, and which he's before us here today. I just don't see the extent of offender change that I'd like to see. That's where I need to.
Exactly, Sassen.
I agree with Mr. Paul. I think the words were said, but I think there needs to be some more work done on the impact of the words and understanding the impact to him. And I want him to be successful because I think he's starting to put the pieces in place to be successful in the community. And I don't want him to go out unprepared, which at this point, and my take is from the mental health standpoint, I'm not sure he's gone through and dealt with some of this. He was also a very young parent, and there's all kinds of layers that I think could benefit from some additional introspection.
So I have nature and circumstance, injury and impact, and inadequate evidence of offender change.
Good.
Anything to add? Okay. So in the matter of Gustin Douglas Sr., inmate number 425721, there is a motion to deny parole for the following reasons: the nature and circumstances of your crimes, the injury and impact caused to the victims and the victim's family, and inadequate evidence of offender change. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Parole is denied.
This concludes the hearing for Mr. Gustin Douglas, inmate number 425721.
So it's just over, there's no coming back.
No coming back. Hope you'll use the remaining time on your sentence to continue to prepare yourself to be successful when you're back in the community. And don't forget the deadly weapon offender registry while you're on probation. We wish you much success, sir.
Can I say something to one of the victims? Is that all right?
No,
Before I go?
no, the hearing is over. You need to leave the room.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Paroles Martinez. Today is Wednesday, March 5th, 2025, and this is the hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. Following board members are present this morning and by stating their names on the record, certified to have received all statutory required documents and available for information and preparation of this hearing.
Nancy Turner, good morning.
Good morning, Mike Paul.
Good morning. I'm Ellen Zappo Sasu.
Please state your name and inmate number for the record.
My name is John Delapara, 264-627.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for John Delapara, inmate number 264-627. He is serving a sentence of 32 months for violation of probation or underlying offense threatening second and carrying a pistol without permit. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of February 12, 2025. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. Mr. Delapara has completed multiple programs within the change unit. He's completed Voices, Tier 2, Anger Management, Life Skills, Socialization, the Basic, Medium, Owning It, Co-occurrence Disorder, Self-Esteem, and Self-Compassion, Stress Management, Sobriety. Mr. Delapara continues to be engaged in NAAA and is currently participating in CCAR. He has maintained a job as a janitor during incarceration. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score on the SRT falls within the moderate range of risk for recidivism. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin, Mr. Delapara.
I may begin, ma'am.
Yes.
First of all, good morning. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm well aware that parole is a privilege. I'm grateful for the first time in my life because I'm in recovery and taking it serious. I'm trying to keep a structured routine by staying in a halfway house or sober house, obtaining a job in which will better enable me to stay on the right path and continue to work on my recovery and be productive in life. I participated in NAAA Tier 2 and the C card, and was also awarded an elder position for my work ethics and my positive role in the Change Unit program. So I can change my own routines like people, places, and things, and use the tools that I've learned in these programs. I've also been in counseling and therapy that has helped me and here to understand that in order for me to do better, I have to first be honest about how I've been living my life and where I want to go with my life. My main goal is my sobriety and accomplishing housing for myself. I believe I have put together a strong plan to salvage my life. I want to thank you for your time and consideration in this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Delapara. Appreciate that you took the time to put a statement together. We are going to ask you questions we prepared based on the documents that were available to us. Then we will discuss your case and you'll have our decision this morning. Are you ready to proceed?
Yes, I appreciate you, ma'am. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're going to begin with my colleague, Ms. Zappo-Sassu.
Good morning. One of the first things that I wanted to ask you about is your history with drugs. When you look back at your record, Mr. Delapara, it goes back to, I've tracked it to when you were 20 years old in New York City. And there's a lot of drugs, and then there's possessions and criminal trespasses. And I'm not going to go through the whole list, but it seems like a lot of what you've been carrying over the years is related to your drug use. So can you tell me how it started and what got you involved?
I started like growing up. I came from South America, so I was like, I was trying to like fit in with a lot of friends or whatever, and growing up, trying to find friends. A lot of my friends was older than me, and they was drinking and smoking. So I started at a young age drinking and smoking on that routine pattern, and it was just a bad spiral. It was like I was just like blind to the matter. I was just trying to find a place to fit in, and then the drug, it just became bigger and bigger and bigger as it went on. You know what I mean? And it's like it spiraled into depression.
Yeah. So there are a lot of people who drink and smoke that don't start the spiral into criminal activity. So is it fair to say that your substance abuse also contributed to committing a lot of these crimes, especially early on?
Yes, ma'am, because it's like my mother was a social worker, so it was like I couldn't do a lot of those activities in the house. So I mainly was in the streets with a lot of friends and sleeping here and there, wherever. So I was doing a lot more than I wasn't in a structured environment. I wasn't putting myself, let me say, in a structured environment. So it became, I did a lot of criminal activity because I was in the streets a lot.
Okay. And so I do want to, and we're going to talk about the good things that you've done too. So, but just so I can kind of get a little bit of history from what I've been reading, you then came to Connecticut, and the year that you were 33, Mr. Delapara, was not a very good year. Do you remember?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So what accelerated that year that you had all of these arrests and problems? Because there's more than a dozen of them. There's a lot that happened that year. What happened that year?
I was going through a breakup with my baby mother, and it was just a bad breakup. So it was like I was drinking heavily. Like I was being productive. I had a job and everything before that. It's like I lost everything. So it's like I went back to the streets. I started being around people and places and things that I was not supposed to be around. And I wasn't working, so it was more. I had more time to drink and do drugs. So going through with the breakup, so I put myself in a bad situation.
Okay. All right, and that brings us the last question related to that, you're now, that was 18 years ago, and your most recent offense for which you were violated was the threatening when you were 47, and there were guns involved. So when did the guns start becoming involved with the drugs and everything else?
I was hanging out with a female, like we was riding, we were staying in her car because I had no place to go. So we were staying in her car or whatever, and she was going through a breakup in her marriage or whatever, and she had a gun license. So we were just like standing from house to house or whatever, and that's where the gun really came involved. I was like, I never really played with. I own up to it. I was around the firearm. I was definitely around the firearm, and it's like I knew better. I definitely knew better, but from being around with the people that I was like involved with, staying here and staying there, like going from house to house, drinking and using drugs, and the firearm was she had a gun permit and it was around her, but also around me too. It was also around me also.
Okay, so one of the reasons that I just wanted to revisit some of these pieces of what we've read in these reports, Mr. Delapara, is you're 51 years old now. So that was you. You've identified for me some of the factors in your life that got you into this cycle. But I think I'd like to spend some time talking to you today about who are you now and what changes have occurred that are going to help you do things differently. And at this point, you can tell us about all these great things that you've been doing while incarcerated, which is a significant amount of programs. You don't have to go over all of them. I want to focus on the substance abuse piece and how you're working through that. So if you could start with those programs that you've taken.
I know for a while I had a problem, and it was just that my main problem was just too much time I had. I'm homeless. So it's like everywhere I go, pretty much people drinking and using drugs, squatting at that person's house or whatever. So I was around it. I diagnosed I knew for a long time that I had to get proper housing. Instead of trying to beat the system and try to use somebody's address to go straight home or whatever, I knew that I'm too old for that. It's time for me to be responsible, to have my own place, my own job, and be productive and be structured. It's like not having a home, not having a job. It's like I have more time to drink and do drugs and when you're in a situation like that, you're never in the right state of mind. They're always around.
Right. So how did the programs help you understand what you need to get done now?
The programs help me understand that, like, it's a fact that I do have a problem. It's like I'm fighting with sobriety problems. Like I have to stay away from the people, places, and things. I have to either go to a sober house. I can't go from here to a house. I have to go from a sober house to a sober house, or I have to go to a halfway house. I have to keep going to my AAs. C-cards, I have C-card mentors. If I get released or whatever, I have C-card mentors. I have a sober coach. Do AA, NA as much as I can. Do the 90 days. Do 90 days every day for 90 days, and keep going on with that and find a job and just should try to create housing for myself. It's like I'm 51. I have grandkids that. They only get to see me on occasion. This is like it's a shame. Like I talk to them on the phone. It's like they only really know me now by a voice, And it's like I'm getting to that age where I want more for myself. I definitely strive for more for myself. I'm trying to have a constructive life. I'm trying to work. I'm trying to stay out of the places that developed me to be, in a down spiral.
Okay. How is your relationship with your children?
I have a great relationship with my children. And it's like, with my younger son, when I caught that case with the down spiral, when I was breaking up with my baby mother, he was young. For my first 2 kids, I raised them, school bus, you know what I mean? In the morning while I went to work, I paid for their daycare. I did everything for them. The same thing with the young one, but I went to jail. So like at first he blamed me, like, you know, because like I wasn't living with my baby. When I came home, we were still in contact, but he blamed me like because he heard good things about me from his sister and brothers. But he's like, he never had a chance until he got like about 12 years old to have one-on-one time with me. You know what I mean? So it's like I wasn't there I missed out on a lot of things like in school for him. And so it's like, it was hard for me. Like, I know I let him down. So I gained a relationship with him. Now that I gained a relationship with him and he's 20 years old, and it's like, I can't, and it's like I have to build that relationship. I really want to be a productive grandfather. I want to really be in I'm in all my kids' life right now, but I definitely want to be able to spend more time with my younger son.
So in terms of the, and you've spent about total, 10 years over the last 2 decades. It's more than a third of that time you've been under supervision. So I can understand, the desire to change and not repeat these patterns. One of the things that's going to make you successful is if you're able to identify triggers, which you've just noted some of them. But the relapse prevention plan, have you talked about that in the tier programs and with your CCAR coaches?
Yes, ma'am. That's why I obtained a sober coach, and I'm trying to use the CCAR program. Like a lot of people's using it for a job or whatever. I'm trying to use it for my sobriety. I'm trying to like stay around that, because it's in a lot of communities, and we have a CCAR person that comes in every Tuesday in the unit that I'm in the change unit, and it's like I get to build with him, and it's a lot of opportunities out there. And it's like you have to work on your sobriety. Your sobriety is not going to be given to you freely. You know what I mean? It's so much triggers. It's like even if you're not drinking or drugging, something negative could go on with family or a job situation that could trigger you. And even a lot of people that's sober, their life is still not good. You know what I mean? But it's better than it's going to be worse to run back to the drugs and alcohol. So it's like I gained a lot of knowledge from the mentors in CCAR.
What program do you think made the biggest difference for you during this time?
I'm not gonna lie, I think Voices really hit me hard. Voices really hit me hard because the impact of what I did to other people and my family, other people. A lot of people selfish for thinking that it's just dumb. It's like with my mother, you know what I mean? That woman had to go through that with me, you know what I mean? Like my father died at a young age, so it's like I use a lot of crutches. I use a lot of I use a lot of things, the reason why I was doing the dumb things that I was doing. I blame other things instead of just manning up to my problems and working on what I had. It's like I needed something to blame, like why I'm like this. But it's like it was me all the time. I was being selfish to myself and to my family and to the victims and to my community. Because I learned that when I'm working, I'm like, everybody love me. I'm a beautiful person. You know what I mean? It's just that it's the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde theories. When you're on drugs and alcohol and you're on it for so many months and your life is constantly spiraling down, like a lot of people, you forget the person who you are. You know what I mean? And even other people see you and you're not realizing that you're not the same person. I'm realizing that that's not me. That's not what I want for my legacy. I'm too old to leave a legacy like that. I'm 51 years old. I'm too old to leave a legacy that's all I was about was drinking and drugging. And even though I'm known for good things also, but I have to leave a better legacy than I was doing.
So in terms of that, you've mentioned the sober house or a halfway house for structure.
Yes, ma'am.
you're already connected with CCAR. Do you actually have a sober coach and a CCAR coach?
Yes, ma'am.
You have them already lined up?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and we had notice of an employment in New London.
Yes, ma'am.
So New London is the area that you want to go back to?
Yeah, I have employment. You see, the thing is, like, if I was to go to a halfway house in that area, it's like, I know there's a C-car out there also. It's a C-car, and it's like, I don't know, like from through tier 2, I met a mentor, and he's like, he comes in for a prep program also in Corrigan or whatever. So like I knew him for a lot of years, but I didn't know that's what he used to do for a living. So I have contacts with him. Plus, I just want to be somewhere where I can take the bus and get to work. I need somewhere where even if I get a second shift job, I can have a way to get to work and back to work. I just want to be structured. Like someplace I can get to either walk to a meeting, you know, because a lot of these towns is like, there's no buses, there's no transportation. I need something where I can go to work my program in, and have a better future than this, man.
And I agree with you, but that's also a geographical area where you've had some difficulties in the past. So in terms of your people, places, and things, how are you going to balance the familiarity and having transportation and access to programs with knowing what happened when you were in the community before?
The thing is, my little sister, she lives in Norwich, and most of my problem is New London. Most of my problems is New London, and my problems came from, like, I knew a lot of friends that was doing negative things, definitely in New London, and it's like the fact that it was easy for me to go squat with them, or they could take me somewhere where they could squat, or we could go stay at somebody's house that's, as long as we bring something over, like a bottle of alcohol or drugs, we could stay there for the night. And the fact is, my little sister owned her own house, but I'm still not trying to go to her residence. I know that I could go to a job, take urines and take accountability, because I'm definitely not trying to, I'm not trying to be in London. You know what I mean? I'm trying to I figure, like, if I go to a sober house in that area, it will be next to Corrigan, like right across the street from the jail. But I'm really not trying to play the New London side of the other situation.
What would you be doing at the Legally Lit Media Center? What type of business is that?
Like sound engineering, like setting up, because I used to work for Foxwoods Casino. So like sound engineering, like setting up sound systems, stuff like podcasters and stuff like that, setting up the equipment for stuff like that. And like, because some people don't know how to come for the podcast, it's like a studio where people rent time to have their own podcasts or produce like music or whatever, stuff like that, like whether it be rap, country, gospel music or whatever. The person I know, he rents it out, and like, I'm good with the equipment, so he used to use me. So I would just pretty much set the equipment up for them, and like and just help them in the process of while they're in their session.
And how long have you been with your fiance?
I've been with my fiance for like 3 years. Let's say 2 years, 2.5 years.
Does she live a sober lifestyle?
Yes, ma'am.
Does she work?
Yes, ma'am. Time for to the school or whatever, you know what I mean? So it's like time for to the school or whatever, you know what I mean? So it's like, she knows the person I am, and she's like, she's not like, she don't drink or anything like that. She's been in a couple like accidents, like, so she was like, had like spinal surgery and stuff like that. So she don't even have like, she was like, weaned herself off of the drugs that they was giving her for her back surgery and stuff like that. So it's like, it'd be perfect. Like right now, she have her own residence, but I'm even trying to stay even more structured than that. I'm not gonna fool myself. I'm not even trying to use her address. I'm trying to go to a sober house or a halfway house. I need to stay focused. I need to stay on the right path. I need to stay on the right path. I can't stray from that path. I know what's behind the curtains. You know what I mean? It's like I can't fool myself. I can't fool myself this time. I'm 51. I can't go ahead and keep fooling myself because that's what I'm doing to myself. I'm like, after a while you can't lie to yourself. And it's like I have a sober mind right now, and it's like I have to stay productive. I have to go to NA. I have to go to AA. I have to stay in a sober environment. I have to work. I have to stay busy. I have to be in my grandkids' life. I have to be in my kids' life. I have to try to see if I could learn even more from NA and AA. I just need to be around sober people and that sober environment, because it's like it's so much things they talk about, and it's like it's one of the best networks. It's one of the best networks that I've learned. See, I never went to really NA and AA and stuff like that. I went to Lebanon Pines. That's what really got me on the path. I actually accomplished going. A lot of people don't accomplish it, but I accomplished like 150 days in Lebanon Pine. So a lot of the counselors saw that. Yo, listen, man. If you're structured, you're beautiful, because a lot of people, you're helping out a lot of people in the program and being honest. Because like a lot of people in the program was sedating themselves, but still trying to stay in sober living. And the meaning is be in a sober environment, but you're still sedating yourself, brother. Like you try to wean yourself off of as much stuff you are for opiates, you know what I mean? And it's like, yo, I realize that I do have a problem.
Okay, so that being said, I'm going to wrap up by just commending you for not getting any disciplinary reports. And I know that that is a good indication of adjustment within the facility. And, you know, your criminal history, Mr. Delapara, there's a lot there. There's the gun piece that we've talked about. We didn't talk about some of the assaults some of the arrests that included violence. You know, now is the time for you to put all of these tools to work, because I think, as you know, with all of these prior convictions, if you were to come back, it would be a much longer sentence, and you're just going to continue to be in that cycle. So thank you for talking to me, and I'm going to see if my panel members have any other questions for you.
I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Mr. Cole, any questions?
Thank you, Madam Chair. All I wanted to say is, Mr. Delapara, E-Dorm did you well. And you have the right plan. So the important piece is to stick to the plan, right? No matter what.
No matter what, I'm trying to stay on that path, sir. I'm trying to
use that coach.
Yes.
And you're gonna be okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's all.
Okay, give us just a few minutes, sir. Is Zappo Saxon?
Well, I think Mr. Pohl said it. If Mr. Delapara sticks to his plan, I think that he is going to be successful in the community. And I do believe that, based on the work that he's put in with the change unit, as well as all of the addiction programming that he's taken, his relationship now with CCAR, his acknowledgement that he's going to need a lot of support, including NA and AA and a sober coach. And he's already set some of that up. His acknowledgement that he needs to transition into a halfway house or a sober house. The acknowledgement of his age, and the fact that we have this line in the sand of who he was when he was using and who he's trying to become and live for now at the age of 51. He does have an extensive criminal history that was intertwined with his substance use, and he does have to be listed on the deadly weapons registry based on some of that. So that's another level of accountability in addition to probation. But I do find him suitable for parole today.
Mr. Pohl, please. Okay, so for conditions, I have halfway house, no driving, and no alcohol. Do you have anything to add?
No others.
Have mental health or anything?
I've been admonished to not add that.
I think.
I think he's on a good path himself without us having to say that.
Okay.
the
He can
coach
always
being in
ask
his
for
life-
it, yes.
the coach being in his life will be able to help him get connected.
Right, and you've been on community supervision before, Mr. Delapara, and you just have to know that they're just another person in your circle to help you if you need services or resources. We were having a discussion about mental health counseling, but it seems to me that you're set up in order to have a lot of support, but you could always ask for more if you need it.
I appreciate you, ma'am. Thank you, panel. Thank you so much.
So in the matter of John Delapara, inmate number 264627, there's a motion to grant parole on or after today's date, March 5th, 2025, with the following conditions for your supervision. You are not to drive without your parole officer's permission. You are not to consume any alcohol, and you are to be placed in a halfway house. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Delapara. We wish you much success.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
This will be the hearing for John Delapara and number 264627.
Good morning, board.
Good morning, my name is Parole Officer Martinez. Today is Wednesday, March 5th, 2025. This is the hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Parole. The following board members are present this morning, and by stating their names on the record, certified they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available for information and preparation of this hearing.
Nancy Turner, good morning.
Good morning, Mike Foles.
And I'm Ellen Zappo-Sasso.
Good morning, Lawrence Allen.
Please state your name and inmate number for the record.
Oh, sorry, Lawrence Allen, 4076.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Lawrence Allen, inmate number 400076. He is serving a sentence of 3 years. Possession of controlled substance, failure to appear second, larceny, illegal operation of motor vehicle without ignition device, and 3 counts violation of probation with underlying offense of criminal mischief, third, interfering with emergency law, attempt at burglary third, and burglary third. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of March 8, 2025. There is no victim input in this case. The inmate was heard by the board on October 23rd, 2024. He was denied parole, and a new hearing date was set for March 2025. The board recommended that the inmate complete a tier program, complete other positive programming, and refrain from obtaining any DRs. Since his last hearing, the offender has completed the following programs. Voices Tier 2 and is currently participating in the GED program and is working for the town of Stamford. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score for risk of recidivism falls within the high range. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin, Mr. Allen.
Good morning, board. How are you? Thank you for taking the time to hear me. Since I last seen you guys, I've completed the voices class, the tier 2. I maintain other programming inside my dorm. I've changed from the Enough program to the Change program. I've also enrolled in school and maintained my job at the town of Suffield. That's about as much as I've done since I've seen you guys in October.
Okay. So you know how this process works. So we'll
Not exactly. No, ma'am. This is my first
You
time.
had a hearing in October,
Correct.
so it's the same process.
Okay, okay.
And after we're done asking the questions, we'll again deliberate and make a decision. Are you
Yes,
ready
ma'am.
to proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so it's good to see that you've remained DR free and that you have this job with the town. That's impressive. So why don't you tell us about your release plan? Because you don't have a sponsor, correct?
Correct. I wanted to go into a halfway house, and there from the halfway house to a sober house. While in the halfway house, I'd like to gain employment, continue my recovery plan, which is to continue in AA, work the steps of NA, and work with a sponsor. And I'm gonna guess there's gonna be some stipulations of intensive outpatient or relapse prevention, which I plan on doing as well. I have
Okay, so can you be any more specific about your employment plans?
So I was gonna go back to work where I was working prior to here, but you know, I'm taking some time to think about it, and I think I'm gonna take a change of employment. I would like to, you know, find something else to do. The place I was working prior to being in here isn't very conducive to my recovery. So I would like to, you know, find somewhere new where people aren't drinking after work and stuff like that. So.
Do you have any direction that you're going to take?
I'm sorry. Yes, I have a skill set. I'm a construction laborer by trade. Also landscaping. I've worked in kitchens. I have also the town of Suffield has offered me a position up here with the public works department when I leave, if I want to. So,
Mr. Allen, why didn't you start with that? Why didn't you start with that? So you refer to a job that wasn't conducive to your recovery because of drinking after work. Wasn't that the landscaping job?
Yes.
Okay, yes, so don't keep that on the table as an option if you know that it would be challenging to your recovery. So tell me what the town has offered you.
They offered me a position with them. It's part-time work from from April to August, I think he said it was. So that's the start, but I have things I have to do. In the meantime, I have to get my car registered and insured and have a breathalyzer put in there. So I'm doing things, I want to do things the proper chain of command, so that way I'm not returning to jail on a suspended license charge or anything like that.
So do you already have the funds set aside to pay for the interlock device and the restoration of your license?
So I paid the $150 fee. I paid the restoration fee. I have to pay the installation fee into my car, which is $100, and then they'll reinstate my license. And so my plan was go to the halfway house, maybe find a job in. I was hoping to get into the halfway house in Middletown. Maybe get a job there, busting tables or whatever, save up a little bit of money, and then, you know, do what I have to do, register and insure my car, and then proceed with a job in Suffield.
I'm a little bit confused about your timeline. So you're not planning on going right to the job at Suffield?
I won't have transportation right out the gate because my car won't be registered and insured because I've been in jail for a year and a half now. So I have to, you know, save up the funds in order to. There's not a halfway house in Suffield, so there's only halfway houses in like major cities: Hartford, New Haven, Waterbury, Middletown.
I am aware.
So my plan was to save up some money in the halfway house, get into a sober house somewhere in that area, and then proceed with working for them.
Okay. Is there a monthly fee for the interlock device as well?
Yes, I'm not sure how much it is yet. Okay. I haven't gotten that far with the process.
Okay. So is there a possibility that the job with Suffield could become full-time, could become year-round, or
yes, I would imagine.
You know, jump through these hoops for something that's over in August.
I would imagine so. I have to prove myself and show that I'm worthy, and I'm going to show up and be on time, and you know, stuff like that. I'd imagine.
And you can also apply to other towns.
Correct. They gave me a letter of recommendation if I wanted to use it to go to another place of employment.
Great.
So I have that.
All right, so talk to me about your recovery. Because, you know, your drug score is 5, which is the highest possible.
Yeah.
And you took tier 2, which, you know, isn't, you know, as, you know, with a drug score of 5, we would have hoped for tier 4, but you completed tier 2. So tell me about your recovery.
I've completed tier 2. I went to NA and AA the whole time I've been here since.
Not about what you've done, because you listed all of that in your opening statement. I'm talking about your recovery.
Okay, so I've learned what I've learned. Is that what you're implying?
Well, what do you understand about your addiction and what you need to do to maintain recovery?
I've learned where it stemmed from, you know, my childhood. I've learned how to cope with my problems I have. Therapy is going to be big for me when I get out. What else? Sorry. I've learned.
What does recovery look like to you?
Being sober, being part of my daughter's life, maintaining a job, working, being, you know, enjoying life sober, being able to be there for my family, be there for myself. I've learned that I have to stay away from people, places, and things that, you know, bring me down and that are not, you know, not good for me. I can't hang out with certain people because, you know, they use drugs. I can't go to certain neighborhoods because, you know, that's where I used to run. Like I have to, you know, and at the end of the day, I am me wherever I go. So I have to change as well. You know, I have to be it starts with me. I have to want it, and I do. I have a 10-year-old.
No more truer words, sir.
No, man. I have a 10-year-old daughter. I have a 10-year-old daughter that I speak to every night on the phone, and I've built a relationship with her that I wasn't able to when I was home because of my drug use. And I realize I need to be there for her, and I want to be there for her. I miss her. She's a big part of me, and the reason I want to be sober and, you know, go out there and do the right thing.
We've put a lot on the table between employment and recovery and now, you know, fatherhood. Talk to me about your priorities.
Priorities are getting a job, going home, maintaining school. I've enrolled in school since I've seen you guys last. I want to complete my GED and possibly go into college at some point down the road. And it's the process to get there, but that's one of my priorities in life. And be able to make something of myself and, you know, leave a legacy rather than, you know, a bad taste in somebody's mouth of who I was. I want to prove to my family that I'm, you know, a worthy person.
So what's the key to being successful with all of those priorities?
Staying sober.
There you go. Sober. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So why do you find going to NA and AA helpful?
There's like-minded people around that, you know, that have been in the same situation that I am, that are overcoming it, and, you know, that have been sober for a long time. And they have, you know, knowledge of what it takes to remain sober.
So you get some inspiration?
Yes, ma'am. And, you know, it's a healthy habit.
Do you have anybody in your life right now who's clean and sober?
I do.
Like actually living in recovery, not just abstaining.
No, that has not. My girlfriend is not in recovery. She's never used drugs. She's a sober individual.
So she wouldn't necessarily understand the struggle with addiction. So do you have anybody in your life who's living in recovery?
My sister, she's a school bus driver now. She was an addict. She's been clean for about 6 years now. Yeah, other than that, not too many people. I don't have a big family.
Okay,
I don't.
but does she, your sister, does she practice recovery?
Yes, she does. She's in AA. I don't know if it's AA or NA, but she is in active recovery.
So it is somebody you could reach out to if you were
Absolutely. And I've met with
perhaps
the
struggling, and you're gonna identify a sponsor, perhaps?
Yes, ma'am. I've also met with the recovery coach and took their one. He does he comes into the change program once a week. I've sat down with him and spoken with him. I have contacts for them when I get out. So somebody to be there that's willing to listen or lend a hand if I need advice or stuff like that. So
Good. Well, it's important because you don't need to do it alone.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you still owe some restitution?
I'm not sure. I think they threw that out from what I heard in court when I was in court.
I encourage you to look into that because it's over $2,000. And
Okay. Okay. I will.
so you're interfering with the 911 call and the criminal mischief that involved your sister. Have you repaired that relationship?
That was my other sister. That was my little sister. That wasn't the one that's in active recovery there. She's another sister. I have not been in contact with her since I've been in jail. My mother has. There's no longer a protective order in place or anything like that. We've seen each other. We've been social, and everything has been. I mean, we're not best friends anymore, but we can be copacetic and.
Is she somebody on your list that you need to make amends to?
She is, yes.
Okay, good. I'm glad you recognize that. Okay.
Sure.
All right. Well, I hope you'll be successful in creating the legacy that you envision leaving behind for your child and your family in the future. And I wish you much success, Mr. Allen. Thank you for talking with me. Ms. Zaposasu?
Yes, I just have one question for you. In the past, you have not been successful on community release. And I'm just hoping that the transformation that you've been working on also realizes that there are people out in the community, even though you don't technically have supervision to follow, there are resources out there that you could reach out to if in fact you find yourself in need of additional resources, whether it's via your sponsor or there's community organizations. There's a lot of people to ask for help. And one of the biggest pieces of recovery is knowing that you need to ask for help. So I would encourage you to do that.
Yes, ma'am. And, me being when I was in active addiction, I didn't look at it as a somebody that could help me. I was looking at it as somebody that was gonna, hold me back or keep me in jail, or I didn't look at it as a positive. No, I was looking at it as a addict mindset where I thought I knew what was best for myself, and I didn't think that you guys were, not you guys, but IOP, relapse prevention, I've had a recovery coach one other time when I was on probation, and I didn't use them to my benefit. I more or less kind of shunned them away and didn't use them to the best of my abilities like I should have. I didn't. I said how do you say it? I had disregard for, you know, what they were trying to do and how they were trying to help me. I didn't look at it as a good thing. I looked at it as a, you know, as me. So
It's a
It
good
was
thing that
re-
you recognize that.
yes, ma'am. I still wanted to get high when I was out there and I was running. I didn't look at it as a positive. I looked at it as a negative, and you know, I need to use that to better myself rather than, you know, hurt myself.
Thank you. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
No question, madam.
Okay, so give us just a minute, please.
Yes, ma'am.
So Mr. Allen has a concerning criminal history and scores high for his risk to reoffend, has never been successful on supervision in the community, and has the highest possible drug score. And he sits before us today on a flat sentence, so he has no supervision to follow to support this next chapter in his life, which hopefully will be robustly embracing recovery. He has invested well in this period of incarceration with programming, education, jobs, and good discipline. So that together bodes well for his return to the community. We are looking at a little over a year of discretionary parole supervision for him, and I would be in favor of granting him that support. Ms. Zappo-Saxon?
I'm in agreement.
I agree. He's done well. J dorm, J dorm's another dorm like E dorm that, and it's obvious from what he's been able to maintain since the rehear or the first hearing.
I have halfway house, no driving and no alcohol. Any other conditions?
Yes.
Ellen? Yeah. Okay. All right. So in the matter of Lawrence Allen, inmate number 400076, there's a motion to grant parole on or after his eligibility date of March 8th, 2025, with the following conditions: halfway house placement, no driving without PO's permission, and no consumption of alcohol.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Allen. We wish you much success.
Thank you. I have a couple questions for you. So how does the no driving work? I have to have my license reinstated before that, like,
Well,
I obviously I know I
obviously, you
can't drive until then.
without a license.
No, I'm sorry, that's not what I was implying. So when I do get my license reinstated, am I able to drive at the halfway
Only
house?
with
or-
your parole officer's permission.
Okay. And how does it work for release? You know how long it takes, or I've never been through this process before, so
I'm going to defer
Is it
to
like
the,
is it
it all
immediate release?
depends on the availability of halfway house. They have to come and meet with you, and, you know, so it's a process. It won't be today. It won't be the 8th.
Yeah,
So just be
So-
patient, keep doing what you're doing.
all right, thank you. Appreciate you guys. Have a good afternoon.
This concludes the hearing for Lawrence Allen, inmate number 400076. Good morning, my name is Parole Officer Martinez, committed 1 Hartford, 2025, and this is a hearing of Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. Following board members are present this morning by stating their name on the record, certify they have all statutorily required documents and available for information and preparation of this hearing.
Nancy Turner, good morning.
Good morning, Mike Pohl.
And I'm Ellen Zappo Sasu.
Please state your name and inmate number for the record.
My name is Xavier Joseph, inmate number 442601.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the full application for Xavier Joseph, inmate number 442601. He is serving a sentence of 10 years, execution suspended after 3 years with 5 years probation for sale of narcotic, conspiracy to arrest any second, and failure to appear first. As of today, record reflects parole eligibility date of February 27th, 2025. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. Mr. Joseph has completed domestic violence tier 2 of the conviction. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score on the SRT falls within the high range of risk for recidivism. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
First, let me start by saying thank you for taking this time to hear me out on why I would love the opportunity to reintegrate back into society before the end of my sentence of September 2026. I came to the realization during my incarceration that the first step to change was taking full responsibility of my crime that I committed that helped to the destruction of my society. To any of those that I might have caused emotional or physical pain due to my previous behavior, I would like to address to you that I sincerely apologize for my action I took towards you and your loved ones. I am ashamed of myself for the crimes that I committed due to the fact it goes against my intentions of helping others the best I can. The mixture between people, places, and drugs altered my behavior, which is no excuse for my actions. I have took back over my life, and I'm no longer allowing these negative obstacles to get in my way again. I have found myself and learned to control my emotions after my last disciplinary report I caught due to a fight I caught that could have been avoided. As of right now, mine is the position I'm in. I'm in the best mental state I could be as of right now. Tier 2, Miss Upton taught me a lot, especially learning my triggers and what caused me to behave the way I behave. To have control over my recovery, I gotta recognize my triggers and cope with them in a positive manner. During domestic violence with Ms. Collins, I learned how the negative behavior with myself can cause and affect my relationship in a negative way. To always communicate with those I care about and just to always think first. I have high expectations for myself when I get home, from helping myself to help others, to putting myself into school, to getting my master's in music production and business, being a positive force to society and rewriting my wrongs. With all that being said, I hope and wish you will have a high consideration on allowing me the opportunity to rewrite my book. This period of incarceration was an eye-opener. This is not the life I want to live, from being in and out of jail to destroying my community, not able to provide myself a healthy life where I can enjoy the things I'm missing. I've done a lot of contemplating with myself and all the things I've done to get in trouble, and this getting in trouble was for nothing. I've been ready from the very moment of my incarceration that I'm ready to change my life. Thank you for the opportunity to speak in front of you.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. You did a nice job with preparing and delivering that statement.
Thank you.
Appreciate that you put the time into writing out your thoughts and being organized for us this morning. So we are going to ask questions of you based on the documents that were available to us. And then we will discuss your case and give you our decision. Are you ready to proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Terrific. So we're going to begin with my colleague, Mr. Pohl.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Mr. Joseph.
Good morning.
Thank you for that statement. It really talked a lot about what I needed to hear to begin with. And it sounded to me like it was sincere. If we look at where you've been before this, in your adult life, there's operating under suspension.
Yes.
And then the mess that we're in right now, right?
Yes.
And so you haven't been on supervision in the community in the past?
No, not since I was when I was a juvenile. I was on probation for a little while.
We're not going to talk about that.
Okay.
But in your adult history here, Okay. So that's something that's an opportunity that we're looking at here on the parole end, and there's 5 years of probation afterwards, right?
Yes. Yes.
So what's your idea on that parole officer or probation officer? How do you think you would use them?
I'm gonna use them as best as I can to get every opportunity I can that they can provide for me. And I'm just using them as a learning experience for right now.
That be an adversarial relationship?
One more time, I didn't understand what you said.
Should that be an adversarial relationship? Should that, is it me and them, or do you think that they're there to try to help?
They're there to try to help.
They want to see you succeed, right?
Yes.
But the only way
Yes.
that they're going to do that is with your cooperation.
Yes.
And from your opening remarks, you sound to me like you want to cooperate.
Yes.
So you've taken some programs in there. You talked about them. You talked about tier 2 with triggers.
Yes.
When it comes to your substance use in the past, you're young, 23. How much were you using? Was it really a deep thing? Do you need?
It wasn't.
Yep, go ahead.
It wasn't really deep with the cocaine, but with the weed it was. I was smoking every day. And that was really about it. I wasn't a heavy drinker at all. That was like maybe twice a month.
And you sound to me from your plans, like school and stuff like that, you think weed's going to be something that's helpful to you?
No. So I'll be staying away from it.
I mean, that's right. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. Can't be going in there trying to get a degree and, and nobody's there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the other program here is domestic violence.
Yes,
Are
sir.
you faking?
No, I did not fake it.
Say that again.
You said, did I fake it? I said no.
No. I said
Take it.
Did you took it?
Yes.
And so it was interesting there, because that's really the turning point. It's you said your negative self-behavior affects others, right?
Yes.
So drawn into you that what's going on with them that doesn't matter. That's problematic, and it seems like you learned something about that.
Yes.
What anything else there that you think you've learned?
From domestic violence, really I learned more about myself, because it starts with me with anything else. I can't allow the next person to dictate my emotions, and it's on me to control them and act in a positive manner.
And that's really it, right?
Yes.
It's down to your choice.
Yes.
Whatever situation you're fed, it's in your life, it's your choice how you're going to act or react towards it, right?
Yes.
That's important to understand. So you did have a job in the kitchen. The two things here that are concerning, one happened a year ago, and 4 months before that. And that was what, 2 fights?
Yes, I caught one like 3 months within being incarcerated, and then I caught one once my ticket cleared again. But that was all before I got sentenced. And I realized a lot from that. It was not necessary at all. I realized to control myself and really just look back on my behavior and why it proceeded the way it proceeded was not necessary, and I would not allow it to happen again.
I mean, that's really the thing, right? And that's how we learn in life. Something happens, if that fight happens or that second fight happens, it's what's going on here. And it's about making a different choice.
Yes.
It's like, who did you really affect by that?
Myself.
And that's, you don't want to do that. You don't want to jack yourself up, right?
No.
Okay. You want to get out, go to your mom in New Fairfield,
Yes, sir.
all seasons Marine.
Our season Marine Works is my
Yeah.
previous employer.
Okay, so you're going to them, or you're going to help your mom with her business?
I will be contacting them upon release to see if they will give me the job opportunity again. And if not, I will be helping my mother out with her business.
Okay, so one or the other.
Yes.
Okay, and if not either one of those, what?
One more time.
And if not either one of those, what do you think you'd do?
Honestly, I will be finding another job until I can put myself into school the way I want to, and then we go from there.
Yeah. And that's a good thing. You know, it's your first real incarceration.
Yes.
So I'm glad that you learned some things. And at 23, I hope you never come back.
Me either.
That's all, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cole. So, Mr. Joseph, you've held a job in the kitchen for how long?
I think it's going on about a month and some change.
Okay. Have you had any other jobs in the facility?
No, but I was helping out as a volunteer for laundry worker in the bathroom when I was in I-dorm.
Okay, well, thank you for doing that. I read about you getting fired in 2019 as a dishwasher because you had an altercation with a coworker.
Yes, that was
I'm not looking for details, but I'm looking at a pattern, you know, and then you come into the facility and you get an assault ticket and then a fighting ticket. So do you have, you know, you talked about triggers and then you talked about your recovery. Do you have you identified your triggers when it comes to your anger and your temper?
Yes, I
What are
definitely have. Honestly, it really was the way people talk to me is what was bothering me a lot. But then I realized it's just words. It's not nothing that could really affect me anymore.
Okay. It's good to carry that perspective and to realize that, you know, if you sit with it, the anger passes very quickly.
Yes.
But the problem is when you act off of that immediate feeling.
Yes.
When did you get your inmate handbook?
When did I get it? I got it upon getting my tablet because they didn't give out a physical copy. So once I got my tablet, I was able to read up on the handbook.
Okay, so when in the process of your incarceration was that?
A little bit in between that, just when I have free time, I'll just read up on some of it.
No, I mean, when did you get the tablet?
Oh, about a month within incarceration. When I was in BCC, they gave me the first handbook. Then when I went to Hartford, I got another handbook through the tablet. And then Walker when I was at assessment, and then when I came here also.
So you came in 9/23 and you got your first DR for the assault in December the 30th. So
yes.
Sometime between those two dates, you got the tablet and it had the handbook loaded on it. Okay.
Yes.
The reason that I'm saying that is you don't need an inmate handbook to tell you not to engage in physical violence with the other offenders, right?
Yes.
Okay. So to draw a line and say it was before you got sentenced is irrelevant.
I agree.
Would you agree? Okay.
Yes.
Great. Okay, so it's a distinction that is pointless because
Yes,
you're there in a controlled setting with a whole lot of people and a whole lot of people telling you what to do. And, you know, making a choice to put your hands on another person is never going to play out well if it's in anger, right?
yes.
Do you think you're developing a work ethic?
Yes, I had always had a strong work ethic. When I work, I like to work. I don't like to just stand around. I like to get things done at an orderly fashion. And I enjoy working, to be honest. I don't like just being bored.
Okay. Are you good at following directions?
Yes,
Are you good at asking for clarification when you don't understand what is expected of you?
yes,
Do you work well with others?
yes,
Okay. Do you take feedback well?
yes. I like constructive criticism because it helps me reflect on what's going on with me.
And, you know, it takes some maturity to
Yes.
handle to handle any feedback without reacting, right? But to sit with it and figure out where the truth is for you and what you can do with that feedback. So that's all part of a work ethic. And I'm asking you that because of the problem that you had as a dishwasher and because you haven't been in the kitchen all that long. I do know that you had the job out in the community and that's positive, especially if you can go back to it. What I also appreciated about you, Mr. Joseph, is that you admitted you were selling drugs. You know, so many times people come before us and they're like, I was holding it for somebody, or I didn't know it was in the car. And, you know, I guess if you have it down your underpants, you kind of have to admit that, you know, it was okay. So, you know, I'm saying that because I'm seeing, you know, though you're young, that you're maturing, and that's important because that's what's going to keep you making positive decisions and not coming back to prison, even though you score high. That's probably in part from your substance use and your age. So your brother was with you in the stolen motor vehicle. And I'm concerned because, you know, you, as an older brother, you know, are a role model.
Yes.
Is your brother still incarcerated?
As of right now, he is, yes. And he's incarcerated due to his own actions, but I do play a role in that because I wasn't a positive role model.
Right. I mean, you were involving him along with other juveniles in some of the things you were doing, you know, riding around in a stolen motor vehicle. And, you know, just for your own sake, and because it needs to be said, you know, things are always going to go south when you make the choice, knowing you're wrong, to then mouth off to the police in disrespect. They're there for the safety of the public.
Yes.
And they're doing a very difficult job. And, you know, it's not going to, it's going to be documented in the report, and then it's stuff that we get to read, and it shapes our view of you before we even meet you. So you got to think long game in the choices that you're making, because this stuff does come back to bite you. Right?
Yes.
Okay. I hope you'll think about your brother and other young men in your community when you're back out, in terms of the influence that you have and your responsibility to guide them in the right direction.
Yes.
Do you like prison?
No, do not like this at all.
Okay. And that's by design, because we don't want you back. So, you know, you got to keep that all in mind. And, you know, I love that you have aspirations for your own record label and to get into music production. Do you have a singing voice yourself?
No, I like to make beats. And like I like recording other people. Honestly, I don't really like doing the hard work.
In front of the mic?
Yes.
All right. I thank you for talking with me, Mr. Joseph, and, you know, I really hope, you'll go out and be successful. Ms. Zappo-Saxon?
I'm just going to echo what my colleagues have said. Mr. Joseph, you're young, you're going to be 24 in May, and you have the chance to change some of the verbs that have been associated with you, like fired, expelled,
Yes.
failure to appear, failure to comply with treatment programs. It's all on you in order to change that. And, you know, you've done a good job today of talking to us, and I hope that you understand that we sit here day in and day out, and we see people who say the same things that you're saying, and then they come back. And then last week, we had a guy who was 70 years old. Today, we had somebody who is, you know, middle-aged.
Yep.
The decisions are all on you.
Yes, I definitely agree with that.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Give us just a minute, Mr. Joseph.
All right.
Mr. Paul?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Mr. Joseph, although he rates out high, his adult criminal background is operating under suspension, and the current offenses that he's here before us with. He has taken tier 2 in domestic violence. He's 23. It sounds as though he has matured greatly while he's been in. He's more thoughtful in what he's doing. And that's displayed in his responses to answers regarding domestic violence and relationships and things like that, and the whole thought process about what he wants to do, including, you know, there's 2 DRs there for fights, but there's also some thinking about how that like was worth nothing to me. You know, it adversely affected him, and it's something that he's been able to not do for a year now. He has a couple of opportunities in the community. He's got a place to sponsor to with family, and I would support his parole in this case.
Ms. Zappo-Saxon?
I agree.
Mr. Joseph, have you ever had a valid driver's license?
Yes, I have.
Why was it suspended?
It was suspended, I think, due to the fact I didn't pay an insurance bill, and it got suspended after a while. I honestly forgot, but I think that's the root cause of it. And then
So you don't
recently,
have a valid license currently?
currently, no.
Okay, don't drive without a valid license. Make sure your car is registered and insured.
I will.
Okay, that's part of being responsible, public safety
Yes.
and all that. Yeah.
Yes.
So I have no driving, no co-defendants, and behavior management for domestic violence. Did you have anything else?
I had anger, not domestic violence.
Probably, I would, because he was in, and there's a portion on domestic violence or anger management in domestic violence, but because he had domestic violence when he was in, I think it would probably be appropriate to do on the way out as well.
Yes, I mentioned that. Yeah, because it was a breach of peace involving an
And I
ex-girlfriend.
understand where
Okay,
board members' office at.
okay, all right. So I didn't understand what you, okay. So in the matter of Xavier Joseph, inmate number 442601, there's motion to grant parole on or after today's date, March 5th, 2025, with the following conditions for your supervision. You're not to drive without your parole officer's permission. You're to engage in behavior management for domestic violence, and you're to have no contact with your co-defendants, Robert Smith and Elizabeth Flanagan. Do I have all in favor? Aye. Congratulations, Mr. Joseph. May we never see you again.
Thank you so much.
This concludes the hearing for Mr. Xavier Joseph, inmate number 18601. You're all set, Mr. Joseph. You can just send the next person.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Morning, my name is Parole Officer Martinez. Today is Wednesday, March 5th, 2025. This is the hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. The following board members are present this morning and by stating their names on the record certified they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available for information in preparation of this hearing.
Nancy Turner, good morning.
Good morning, Lake Paul.
And I'm Ellen Zappo Sassa.
Morning to you guys.
Please state your name and inmate number for the record.
Jordan Mendoza, 444-772.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Jordan Mendoza, inmate number 444-772. He is serving a sentence of 8 years, execution suspended after 2.5 years with 3 years probation for corrupt organization and racketeering act of possession with intent to sell. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of September 12, 2024. There is no victim input in this case. The inmate was heard by the board on September 25th, 2024. He was denied parole and a new hearing date was set for March 2025. The board recommended that the inmate participate in voices, continue with school, and to refrain from obtaining any DRs. Since his last hearing, the offender has completed voices and is currently participating in the GED program. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score for risk of recidivism falls within the high range. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
First and foremost, good morning to you guys. Thank you for the second opportunity. I feel I should be, if I'm granted parole, I have a plan first and foremost. Upon release, I have a job waiting for me as well. I would like to just continue to work, stay out of trouble, become a better person, be there for my daughter. Actually take a trade. I want to finish school as well. I wanted to take a trade and something out there too to keep myself busy and, you know, just keep moving forward in a positive way instead of negative.
Mr. Mendoza, thank you for that brief statement. You know how this works, so we're going to begin with questions with my colleague, Ms. Zappo Sassa.
Okay.
Good morning, Mr. Mendoza.
Good morning.
So we have a lot of reports that we've read. I wasn't on your original panel, so this was my first time going through it. And I'm going to start with one of the statements that you made to the parole officer where you characterized your offense as an honest mistake. And it's interesting to me that you would use that term because you have no criminal history, we're not in trouble, and yet you end up in a crime ring, selling drugs and distributing fentanyl in the greater Hartford area. Can you fill in the blank for me as to how you went from here to here so quickly?
Honestly, just had a lack of motivation in life, honestly, and I was lost. Honestly, I did little side jobs like under the table, like landscaping and stuff, but I never had nothing on the books. And I felt myself in my back against the wall and dire need to provide for my daughter, and I chose the wrong route, knowing the consequences behind it. But me being selfish, I still went upon and did those things, and it cost me my freedom. And it's a decision I have to live the rest of my life. I totally regret it.
And you want to go back to release to your mother's house, which is where a lot of this activity emanated from.
Correct, but there's not going to be any more. Like, that's out of my life. I got that out of my system. Honestly, this is a blessing to me. Honestly, this is something I need to experience, because I figured, like, you know, I wouldn't get in trouble. You know what I'm saying? I knew the consequences behind it, but I thought it would never happen to me. For it to happen, it was a blessing and a wake-up call to understand that life is not a game, and you get one chance at it, and you got to make the best of it. And I'm tired of doing things negative. I want to put positive in my life.
So you have 6 co-defendants that were involved in this case. And it seemed to me by reading the police reports that you might have been related to one of them.
Correct.
Okay. And what is the status of that person? And will they be in the environment when you eventually release?
I believe he's currently out on bond on a bracelet, and he's still fighting his case out in the world.
So are you going to see him? Is he staying at your mother's house as well?
No, he's not at my mother's house, no.
Since you last had your appearance, you've taken some programs, and the one that I'm interested in you talking about in some detail is Voices. You've talked a lot about your motivation, but let's talk about who the victims were and what you were engaged in last year.
Well, me looking back at it at my case now, I didn't realize when I was recommended to do Voices, I understood that was a program for like victims and stuff, and I totally was confused on why would I have victims. But Ms. Collins opened my eyes up and made me realize that me too as well, dealing those drugs to people, I have victims as well, and deteriorating their life, also my family's life, most importantly mine. It created an effect. Everything has a cause and effect, and I totally realized that now. She opened my eyes to like different revenues, like to understand like with your action is a reaction. There's consequences behind what you do, and I didn't fully develop. I didn't fully grasp me having a victim in my case, but now I see that I do, including my family.
Do you know if anybody that was receiving the drugs that you were selling died from an overdose?
Can you repeat that?
Do you know if anybody that you sold drugs to died of an overdose?
No.
I mean, do you think the potential is there that they might have?
That I don't know, but it's definitely a great chance of that happening.
Okay. So my next question is, in terms of your desire to make money the right way, it says that you secured a position with, is it Laz Parking in Hartford?
Correct.
Or someplace else? Okay. So what is that job going to entail?
Me being in a parking lot in a booth and opening the gate for people, letting them in and out.
Okay. Is it 40 hours a week?
Yes.
And how far along are you with your GED?
I've completed 2 of my 4 exams, so I passed social studies and science. Now I'm working on RLA, and then when I pass that, I have math, and I'll be complete. So I have 2 more exams.
Okay. Is that something that is education something that you're going to pursue on the outside?
Yes. I actually took a liking to that. Mr. O'Connor, he really cares about me and me trying to really get it together and get it done. So that's definitely one of my goals to reach.
You've remained discipline-free.
Yes.
And then my last question is, you did have a substance abuse score assigned to you of a 3. But the documents that I read said that you sold them, but you did not use them. You have occasionally used marijuana and alcohol. Can't read my last. Perks. How would you characterize your usage of those substances?
What, me before this happened?
Yeah.
Okay, just certain days wanted to just take the edge off, get my mind off of things, but it was a distraction because all them things were still there when it was all said and done, when it was all over with. So it really didn't do me any good, and honestly, it cost me a felony. Now I have a felony on my record, and it wasn't a good thing to do.
Okay, but my concern is that you haven't taken any addiction services programs. So how are you going to cope on the outside if you're presented with the opportunity to smoke or drink, or someone offers you a pill? What's the plan?
Discipline first and foremost. Understanding that I cannot do those things again. Removing people that were negative in my life, and just being around positive people that's on the same page as me. And also, I would like to just put in there, I've actually requested to get in a couple programs, and they just told me I'm on the waiting list. So.
No. But there are opportunities in the community for you as well, if you feel that the substance abuse is something that could undermine your ability to be successful in the future. So I would encourage you to find out what those resources are and know what they are, so that you can have access to them. And your probation officer too is obviously somebody that is going to be there for you as well in terms of resources.
Okay.
For all the questions I have, Madam Chair.
All right.
No questions.
One thing that stood out for me, Mr. Mendoza, in your interview, the parole officer prepared a report for us, and you said you're going to attend to stuff to help me better myself. What does that mean? Attend to stuff. What do you aspire to do?
Well, one thing I started in here that I actually enjoy is keep myself busy, as in working out. I've been working out for the past 3 months, which I've seen results. I've been reading a lot more of books on like discipline, businesses, and stuff like that. Stuff I wasn't really doing in the world that I really took in here, and I really enjoy the thrill of the thing I get off of it. And also being in the world, just being a better father, all around a better person, being there for my daughter, taking her to school, helping her with everything, see her grow up, and really provide in a legal matter, and just bettering myself to be a better person in the future.
Okay, it just was not very specific, so I didn't know what you meant by that. Has there been a point since your arrest, Mr. Mendoza, where you've been able to apologize to your mother?
Of course, numerous of times.
Okay. What was that like? Because, you brought the police to her house and she had to undergo a residential search. And now she's willing to welcome you back into her home. What did your apology consist of, and what did she have to say?
Honestly, she was very upset, first and foremost.
Rightly so.
She didn't understand what was my decision making, why I didn't come to her and talk to her about my life. I was very standoffish with my life. She didn't, at first she was super mad. I kept trying to apologize to her, please forgive me. She kept giving me the rundown on, you can't do this. If you try to do this, you got to get out of my house. And after a while, I kept apologizing. We talked about things in my life and things I was going through. She kind of understood where I was coming from, and she's willing to take me back in and help me do the right things.
Okay. And you owe her a lot of respect, don't you?
Yes, most definitely. She's been there for me this whole journey, and I can't ask for a better mother.
I hope she's listening. I just say that because, you're going out to some of the same stressors, and you don't yet have your high school diploma, you're a father, you've never held a legal job, all of that are going to be challenges. And I don't want you thinking, that you can just go back to the easy choices that you were making before, because you harmed a lot of people, not just the people you sold to, but your very own family. And your mom paid a tremendous price. All of her privacy invaded, her home taken over. And that was on you. So
Correct. I'm totally
that you've stepped up and accepted responsibility. Where will you go in the community to finish your GED?
The school that's in the adult ed thing in Hartford.
Great. Okay. Want to make sure you know how to do that. And, going back to Hartford, they know you. They're going to be watching you. So make good choices.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So give us just a second.
All right.
Is that both Saxon?
So today, Mr. Mendoza has presented as someone who I think benefited from the time afforded to him. From the last hearing to this hearing, he has taken the Voices program, which he told us was very eye-opening and given him an idea of the impact of his crime on the larger community. He also took the time to start his GED, which we've all talked about is a critical component for moving forward. He's remained discipline-free. He has no history of community release in the community because he didn't have a criminal record prior to this offense. So I think that what I see today is someone who's now in his early 30s and is starting to shed the lack of motivation, immaturity, and desire, selfishness, and desire to make an easy buck with someone who is accepting the mantle of responsibility of a father, of a son, of someone who has to have a legal job in the community. He is talking about reinstating the license piece and continuing his education. I do believe that this has opened his eyes, and I would be willing to put him forward as suitable for parole and grant him discretionary parole today. I have no alcohol consumption, no contact with the 6 co-defendants, and no driving without parole officer permission to start the conversation.
Are you
I agree.
on the same page? Okay. All right. So in the matter of Jordan Mendoza, inmate number 444772, there is a motion to grant parole on or after today's date of March 5th, 2025, with the following conditions for your supervision. You're not to consume any alcohol. You're not to drive without the PO's permission. You're not to have any contact with your co-defendant, Eric Morales, without PO's permission. And you're not to have any contact with the following co-defendants: Geraldo Rios, Roberto Leondo, Angel Perez, Elijah Lopez, and Thomas Rodriguez. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Rios.
Rios. Congratulations, sir. You're gonna have to dodge a lot of people in Hartford to stay compliant with your conditions, but if you're doing the right thing, it shouldn't be hard.
No,
And just
definitely.
make sure before you have contact with your brother, you let your parole officer, touch base with your parole officer.
Okay, I have a quick question. Do I find out a date? Do I get immediate release, or how does that work?
No, because you want to go to your mom, so they have to do a home visit
Okay,
and got to set you up with your parole officer out in the field. So just sit tight, keep doing what you're doing, especially with school, and they'll be there to meet with you, and you'll get all this in writing.
okay. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you.
Let's not-
That's Xavier for number 444772.
Let's not see you again, Mr. Mendoza.
All right, y'all have a good one.
Well, I would like to
How are you doing today? And thank you for having me here today. I really appreciate it.
Give us 1 second, okay?
She decides we're not going.
Good morning, my name is Parole Officer Martinez. Today is Monday, March 5th, 2025. This is the hearing of the Connecticut Board Parties and Paroles. Following board members are present this morning and by stating their names on the record, certified they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available for information in preparation of this hearing.
Nancy Turner, good morning.
Morning, Mike Paul.
And I'm Ellen Zappo Saxon.
Please state your name and make that for the record.
Julius Butler, 295093.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Julius Butler, inmate number 295093. Mr. Butler serving a sentence of 6 years, execution suspended after 3 years with years probation for criminal possession of a firearm. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of November 23rd, 2024. There is no victim input in this case. Mr. Butler was heard by the board on July 24, 2024. He was denied parole and a new hearing date was set for March 25th. For March 2025. The board recommended that Mr. Butler participate in a substance abuse program to be determined by DOC and other positive programs and refrain from obtaining any DRs. Since his last hearing, the offender has completed smart recovery, tier 2, and continues to be employed in the kitchen. Mr. Butler is on the witness for 24/7 that. Utilize the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system. The offender's overall score for risk of recidivism is within the high range. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin, Mr. Butler.
Is it all right if I read the letter?
Please, go right ahead.
During my time here, I have focused on myself, learning new things, knowing new things, and reflecting on my past actions and my decision making, as well as my behavior. I have also spent time completing my programs, of which I have grown to appreciate. I have never abused alcohol, but that does not mean there wasn't a problem with alcohol in my life. My classes have helped me understand things within myself pertaining to many things like my attitude, my decision-making skills, and even my PTSD. I have been here. I have surrounded myself by positive-minded people. I have never received any disciplinary reports and I have worked a 7 days a week job, focusing on my attitude. I have realized that has cost me my freedom and trust within my family. I have taken away my abilities to provide financially, mentally, and physically, all of which I enjoy and motivates me to succeed. When my father died in January 24th, I was incarcerated. This was very hard. This is a very hard lesson to learn. It taught me the importance of being there to support my children, and at a time of need. I endured pain, which was a greater lesson. It forced me to learn to deal with stress, my anxiety. I have learned some coping skills that I will use in the future. My father was my best friend. He taught me how to be a great father. My father was a minister who was loved by many people. Losing him was very difficult because we were so close. During this time of darkness, I managed to hold it together and console my family the best way I can. Even though stress was at an all-time high, I remained vigilant and kept going to work every day. I remained ticket-free and always show respect to others, and I'm very ashamed that I had to console my kids and my wife from prison. My father's death was educational and informative. If I was granted parole, I will continue to take care for myself by doing the following things. I will reconnect with my primary care doctor and continue to deal with my PTSD and my anxiety. I will take all my meds as prescribed by my healthcare provider. I will use all of my coping skills that I learned during this incarceration.
Okay. Is that everything, Mr. Butler? Is that everything? Did you finish?
No, it's just my anxiety right now.
Okay, take a few deep breaths. You're doing great.
I will attend and complete all programs that parole feels needed. I will stay consistent at being the best provider my father had taught me to be. I will show love and support to my children and attend sporting events, doing homework, and giving them my time. Yeah. I have a job that I can get out in New Britain Hospital, special care. My wife works there, and she asks the supervisor, do they hire felons, and they do. During this time, my family has supported me. My family has supported me. They helped me grow stronger. Through all of this. My kids supported me with love and help. My wife gave me comfort and motivation. And my father taught me to stand tall and tackle anything life throws at me. And I wish to be a great provider like him one day. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Butler. We appreciate that you had an opening statement for us. I was on your prior panel.
Yes.
I was happy to read about the efforts that you've made since we saw you in July. So this is all good. You know how this works, so I'll start with the questions. You doing all right?
Yes,
Okay, good. We received, as you know, a lot of support letters, and you're still working in the kitchen?
yes,
That's great. Okay. So let's talk about tier 2 and how that was helpful to you. You said you've been able to focus on yourself. What did you learn about your use of substances?
I learned that I didn't have to drink every day to have a problem with alcohol, because every time I did drink, I did have issues. And it just taught me to realize that, to cope with everything that I had going on around me.
That's good, because I think when we met last, you were somewhat ambivalent or uncertain about whether or not alcohol was a problem for you. So you acknowledge that it is.
Yes.
Okay. Sometimes it's not the amount or the frequency of the use of any substance or alcohol, but it's what happens when we are under the influence. And you had some pretty severe consequences. You were one of the first people that I experienced coming up for parole who was on probation when you committed new crimes, but you were also on the deadly weapon offender registry and you got a new gun crime. So it's just insanity, right?
Yes.
Doing the same thing, nothing's going to change. What's your plan for, well, do you think you have an addiction to substances?
No, but I think I had a problem in the past with alcohol.
Okay. So what does that mean going forward?
That when I go home, I'll continue to do my programs the best I can and complete them all.
What does it mean for you and alcohol?
I'm definitely gonna stay away from it the best I can, and do my programs and worry about my family and working.
Do your best to stay away from it. And what were you doing to not drink?
Stay busy, like work and do positive things with my family.
Have you ever heard the expression, Mr. Butler, once an addict, always an addict?
Yes. Yes, I have.
Do you have anybody in your life who's living in recovery? You know what I mean by that?
Yeah, anybody that's in recovery that was on drugs, but that's not anymore.
Right, and making the choice every day to not use and pick up.
Yeah, it was my father. He used to use, but he became a minister. He started going to church. So he became a minister. He hasn't used in probably like 25 years before he passed away.
I know we talked about it last time, and I'm sorry for that loss, and I appreciated you spending some time in your opening statement telling us what he meant to you and the community through his leadership. So when you were in tier 2, and since you've been incarcerated, have you participated in any CCAR work or NA meetings, AA meetings?
Yeah, I've been to the AA meetings.
All right. Do you find that helpful?
Yes, because I get to learn from the people around me and the situations that they've been in, plus my own.
Get some inspiration from them?
Yes.
Okay. So that's, meetings take place every day all around the state. And you can, you can attend a meeting at any point to get that support.
Yes.
Are you committed to living sober?
Yes, I am. I need to for my kids. I need to for my kids and my wife. Like I have to. Like I can't spend my life getting in trouble and getting into other issues. I'm 40 years
you're
old.
Getting up there.
Yes, I'm 40 years old. My son's in the sports, and I'm normally there with him all the time. I'm normally there at every sporting game. So it's like I'm losing a lot of time with my son and my grandkids at this time.
Yeah, he's 17 now, isn't he?
No, my son, he's 12 and my daughter's 18.
What I want to hear you say, Mr. Butler, is that you want to live clean and sober for yourself.
Yeah, that too. I'm going to live clean and sober for myself and for them. Like I have to do it for myself in order to stay home and to be there to provide for my family. I have to. And I definitely want to. I definitely want to, and I am. I know I got it. I know I can.
It's a commitment. It's a commitment you make every day. It's sometimes every hour of every day to live clean and sober, to not go into the bar, to not pour yourself a drink when you're hanging out with family and friends, watching a game, picking up a beer, that kind of stuff. It's not going to be easy. And that's why I'm asking you about AA, because, you don't have to go it alone. And if you have a sober network of people who understand the challenge, then you have people you can turn to, especially when you think to yourself, it's a Super Bowl, I can have a beer, I'll just have one. You know how that goes, right?
Yeah, I understand.
What did smart recovery mean to you?
Smart recovery, what does it mean to me?
What did it mean to you, the program?
It means a lot. They taught me about like my behavior around my family, how to cope with how to stay sober when I'm around my kids, and how I should definitely be more involved in their lives and to stay sober.
So you want to live with your fiance in Waterbury?
Hartford.
He's now in Hartford. Okay. And have you been in touch with anybody at Bazzuto's?
No, not yet. Not yet, but I've been in touch with, my wife's been in touch with people at the hospital at New Britain Hospital.
What would you be doing there?
I'll be feeding the patients and helping them to the bathroom and walking them around the building, taking them for walks.
Okay. But you don't have like a CNA or a PCA certification?
No.
You know what those are?
Yes, I know what that is.
Okay. You might need that. It's, while you're studying for that, you might go to your plan B with Bazzuto's. Yeah.
Yes, that's definitely a part of the plan is Bazzuto's.
Yeah. And, if you're granted today, your parole officer can connect you to job programs and reentry services around the state that work with employers who are willing to hire people with criminal histories. So, if you run into roadblocks, you got to talk to your parole officer or your probation officer for guidance.
Yes.
Yeah, they help a lot of people. They know how the systems work in the state. So you're back on the deadly weapon offender registry.
Yes,
Take that seriously, sir, this time, right?
yes, I do, and I understand.
Yeah. So, this would afford you about a year of supervision on parole before you begin probation. And it's a real act of trust on our part that I would hope you would appreciate, because somebody with multiple gun convictions certainly shows questionable decision-making. And we make these decisions about parole release with a focus on public safety. So you said that you reflected on your actions and decision-making while you were incarcerated. How would you describe your past actions and decision-making?
Not good, not thinking. I was kind of just going with what was going on around me, which was not the right thing to do. And that's what led me to where I'm at right now. Because if I was being more level-headed, I wouldn't even be here right now. I just felt comfortable with the people that was around me, and it's my fault. I take full accountability for my actions and for what happened, because nobody can make me do nothing. I took it upon myself. And regret it. I regret it every day, because I'm missing a lot with my kids and my grandkids, and my wife.
Yeah, and you know, all it represents is being a follower. You're not
Yes.
thinking independently. You're not using your own judgment. You're just swept up with the crowd and what's happening in the moment. And I would think that 3 periods of incarceration would be enough for anybody. I mean, I don't imagine you like it in there.
No, not at all.
You've referred to coping skills. Could you share with me what a couple of those are?
I draw pictures, I draw portraits, and I read, and I try to stay to myself, so I can have some thinking time. So when I feel like bad anxiety or overwhelmed with situations, I draw.
What about talk?
Yes, my wife, I normally talk to her. She's a good person to talk to. She's a good person to be positive to talk to. She tells me what's right and when I'm doing wrong, when I should be correcting myself, which is good. Which is good.
Have you given any thought to giving back to the community?
Yes.
How would you do that?
By coaching my son's football team and just staying around the neighborhood, well, around there. And he lives in Bristol. He doesn't live in Waterbury. We live in Hartford. He lives in Bristol. So that's what I want to do. And working at the hospital, feeding the elderly, walking them, helping them.
Yeah, but that would be a job.
Yes.
That would be a job. I just want to say to you, Mr. Butler, you might hit some roadblocks with coaching because of your criminal history, but there are lots of other ways that you can give back to your community. And I hope you'll look to identify what those are. Once you've gotten your life organized, once you're, pretty steady in your own recovery, stable with employment, and you get to a point where you have the energy and the time to give back to your community. Look for ways to do that. It's all part of making amends.
Yes.
Yeah. Sowing good karma. Yeah. All right. It's been a pleasure talking with you, Mr. Butler. I really do wish you much success. Keep your focus.
Thank you.
Ms. Zappo-Saxon?
What sport does your son play, Mr. Butler?
He plays football and basketball.
Is he part of the Bulldogs?
In New Britain, in Bristol,
Yeah.
I think it is, yes.
So I think one of the most important things that I heard you say today for yourself and for your kids is that you're looking to reconnect with your doctor. So treatment in the community is really important. And if in fact, the term you used, level-headed, if you want to stay level-headed, then I encourage you to do whatever mental health treatment or other treatments that you can, because that's the only way you're going to be good for your kids and yourself.
Yes, I agree. Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Polk? All right, Mr. Butler, we're done with the questions. We're just gonna talk for a minute, okay?
Yes.
So as I said, was previously on Mr. Butler's panel, and while he has done some work to focus on his recovery, he was not able to take a fatherhood program. Doesn't mean he can't engage in one out in the community. There are lots of them. He has gone this incarceration without any disciplinary issues. And now he's completed 4 programs. So that's positive, and maintained a job. So all of this is starting to look like Mr. Butler is getting a handle on life and squaring away his priorities. So he has a sponsor, he's got some job leads, he's got some resources for his recovery, and I would be willing to afford him the year of discretionary parole supervision before he begins probation.
I agree.
Agreed. Okay. So I have no driving and no alcohol. You had, before the last hearing, you had said you wanted to take anger management out in the community. Is that, you still think that would be helpful to you?
Yes, that's something I'm still going to do when I get out. And I think it'll be helpful.
Okay. So I'd like to stipulate that as well.
And that's not a follow-up to any underlying things that do go with DV, right? Because it's just the DV inside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's correct, yes.
Yes.
Because if he didn't take DV, happened, you'd have to take it all over. Yep, okay with that.
Okay. So in the matter of Julius Butler, inmate number 295093, there's a motion to grant parole on or after today's date of March 5th, 2025, with the following conditions for your supervision. You are not to consume any alcohol. You are not to drive without your parole officer's permission. And you're to engage in behavior management for anger management while you are in the community.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Congratulations, Mr. Butler.
Thank you.
Keep up the hard work.
Thank you, and I appreciate it.
This concludes the hearing for Julius Butler, inmate number 295-093. So, other cycles docket for Wednesday, March 5th, 2025 at 12:19 p.m.
Thank you.
Mr. Butler.
Thank you.
Thank you, Officer Martinez.